Hey, it's John Carlos here once again, as always, with the lovely, the dear, the oh so polite, the oh so sweet.
Eddie,
So gentle.
I don't know what to do with my life.
Because the world's on fire and California's literally on fire. And
I wish it was that simple, but I just watched season 2 of Hannibal this week.
yeah, I will say this. It fucked me up.
I was going to message you about, I think it was after episode 11. All I wanted to do, I just wanted to do it with no explanation. I just wanted to send you a message that said, I am so mad at you. And then just leave it there.
What, for suggesting we do this?
Yes.
Because last time we talked,
also just
you thanked me for like, I'm glad you recommended this. So I was like,
yeah. Well, that was season 1. And now, okay. I should have known. We're going in, folks. I am in rare form tonight. So I do have good things to say. But I should have known when we started off with, it was like, I love it when we start like mid-stroke. And I'm just like, oh, here we are with Jack at Hannibal's, and it's obviously a dinner party, but he's looking at him suspiciously. Oh my God, he's suspecting him. Oh, please let this be like a jump forward, and like maybe we spend the rest of the episode catching up tops. No, we spent the whole fucking season catching up to the point where I forgot that was even coming. And so when it happened, I was just kind of like, finally! I'm so mad. I'm waking up my neighbors, and I'm a madman. The police are going to come. I don't want them to. So I better.
The 12 weeks earlier didn't.
I saw that.
Okay.
That happened afterwards. No, when that happened, I was just kind of like, fuck.
Right.
But I thought but like even when it was going on, I was like, we're advanced enough that I'm like, we missed something. Maybe we'll jump back in. But I actually kind of hoped. Because maybe I just watched too much TV. That whole thing of like introducing something way into the future and then spending the rest of a few episodes or even the rest of the season playing catch up. I've seen it and it doesn't always piss me off, but for some reason this time I was just, when I saw those 12 weeks later or earlier, I was just like, because I knew. Something in my body knew the way that it was introduced that it wasn't going to be like done Damages style. Not that I'm criticizing, like, you should be more like Damages. But what I loved about Damages was they would open with something from the past, really, really narrow, like a few seconds long maybe. And each episode you progress, you get more of it. And you start to put things together as you're watching things happen in the past. So you get more of the present or, the event, the defining event of the season, coupled with more exposure to what went on in the past. And I always found that very arresting. This, again, you'll speak at some point.
Sure, we'll see.
This will be the last thing I say for a while. I'll let you speak in just a second. I do have to say, I'm grateful that I kind of we were predicting how long Will was going to spend incarcerated and whatnot. And I think I said I wanted him to stay about half the season. And I think at the end of the 6th episode, he gets released. And by the 7th, he's out and about. So I'm just kind of like, and up till then, a lot of stuff upset me, but nothing upset me. I was upset within the framework of the show, but I loved what I was getting. We'll go from there. But have you anything to say at this juncture?
Well, my notes... I tend to take first time viewing, so I try not to write notes, but when I really feel something, I pull down my notebook and I write like a modified short like words, and then I structure them into a sentence later. Opening scene, WTF, 12 weeks. And then like 3 What the fuck? As far as the time jump sort of thing, I've seen when you set the forward and then you essentially make your thing a prequel to that moment. I'm all for it if it's done well. I have seen it done well, and that's what I've like. It's a weird example, but like, did you ever watch Dollhouse?
No. That's one I haven't seen yet. People told me to stay away, unfortunately.
Oh, I really liked it, but
cool. Okay.
But season 1 finale is a big time jump, and then all of season 2 is like a prequel to the inevitable. And I kind of thought of that a bit when I watched this. But yeah, I don't know. I'll just say this up front now, because I mean, there are moments where it happened later, and we can get to it later. But I'll tell you, I'll tell you this in my most without getting into the whole like Jack Nicholson doing his long-winded speech and as good as it gets, and she's like, I don't get what you're fucking saying. And he's like, you make me want to be a better man. Like, I've been watching the show, and Eddie, if we go to the theater or to the movies, or you're watching something at home, you know, if something is sad, like, I sit and watch it like this, and you sit and watch it like this. You know, and if something's funny, most people go, and here's how I tend to watch things. Like, I'll think it's funny, but it doesn't come out. It does in shared space. I'll laugh at a movie theater. I'll flinch at a horror movie. But when I'm watching something alone, I don't react to shit. All right? But with this season, this show turned me into you.
Hey! Is that good?
We'll get to it, I think, in a little bit. But there were several moments in episode 4 where I was audibly doing, and it came from a pure place, but I was like, and then I'd go, I just pulled an Eddie.
I do laugh like that in the theater. I throw my head back and laugh up because I've had too many people turn their heads back in front of me, and I think, oh, I must be blasting their eardrums, so I'll just laugh up where it'll go into the acoustics of the theater, and it'll go back to the actors, and they'll hear it.
Umbrellas down
into the gods. But no, okay.
Like if something's funny, and I'm alone at home, and I laugh, that means it's really funny that I audibly made a noise when I'm alone. And the fact that there were several times, I don't know if you want to talk about the fucking finale now or later, but let me just say up front, when Abigail fucking pushes Alana out the window, I literally was like,
yes! I screamed out loud.
Well, I was seated, so I was like,
yes.
Yeah, it was like.
First of all, when she showed up, I was like, it's going to be Will. I was so convinced it was going to be Will in the background, thinking, oh my God, yeah, they did go to the dark side, or he's really trying to sell the fact that, you know, the premise, the lie to Hannibal. Yeah, I've gone to the dark side. Now look how far I've gone. But maybe he won't do anything to Alana. She'll just be like, what? But instead, I just screamed, and the fact that she apologized and then did it, and the fact that it was all happening in slow motion, and we got to see Alana's face as she was falling with that same, I mean, it was our expression. She's just like, what the fuck?
If I remember correctly, they cut to a commercial break, so I would hate to watch that and then be like, oh, cool, like a Folgers commercial, and then come back to like,
fuck you, show.
Yeah.
But I had a lot of those this season. But you mentioned, sorry, go on.
Well, I guess I'll just, since we're kind of on the subject, I'll just bring this up now. It reminds me of in slasher movies when they find the dead body, but I didn't see them get murdered. Yeah. You have to wonder if they're really dead. Like Roman in the coffin in Scream 3. I'm like, Roman's the only one we don't see murdered, so clearly he's alive.
Even though Courtney Cox takes his pulse and says,
apparently he's just rubbish. No judgment. I can't find a fucking pulse, so.
You and Gail Weathers.
Yeah, a couple of numbskulls. So,
I want a poster of you and Courtney Cox just with your arms crossed, back to back, couple of numbskulls, starring Gail Weathers and Hannibal Lecter.
and there's like a bunch of nurses behind us, all like touching for pulses, and they're all like,
Go on.
No, but I even back in season 1, I thought, okay, we saw her ear, but like, I haven't seen a body. And for the first few episodes of season 2, I thought, just what if she's not dead? Like, what if there's something going on? But eventually that faded away because so much fucking happens this season.
I know.
That lingering question just sort of went away enough so that when she showed up again, I was like, oh fuck, I was thinking about that like 9 episodes ago. Good job, show, because
What had me not thinking about it was the fact that Will was having that dream of like fishing with her, and the fact that it seemed to be so complete in his head. He was talking to her like she was a memory. It was very, speaking of like Eliza Dushku, it made me think about her in another little series called Buffy the Vampire Slayer, where she's making the bed with Buffy, but, you know, posthumously. And yeah. Sorry, kids. Nobody really dies in Buffy. Spoiler. But so fuck me. That's not true, actually. So no spoilers. But with this show, because Will seemed to be dreaming about her as though she were a memory, and seemed so shocked when he saw her again, I felt, of course, his shock, because if he gave up on her, or not even gave up, but gave up on the possibility that she might be alive, if he wasn't trying to prove it and fight to make that, then I felt like, why should we even try and go down that route? But you know me, I'm not that bright.
Very rarely are I'll have this with other shows where like we're smarter than some of the main characters, but with this show in particular, like I'm with you. Like if Will isn't piecing it together or figuring it out, then I certainly not, because I feel like everyone on this show is infinitely smarter than I am.
Yeah, well, not everyone will get there. Actually, okay, can we just... I have some shit.
Well,
because it's kind of... Okay. And I should probably dump it here, because then we can just talk about the shit I like. A shadow was cast over this season for me.
Shadow cast?
Stop. Love you. No. Okay. I saw Funny Games and thought, not bad. He's fine. Maybe he's playing to his strengths. Maybe he's gotten better with age. And I get to episode, I think, 9.
Mason Verger shows up in episode 10.
9, 10, and 11, I think.
Well, his sister shows up. Well, you know what?
I think he's
9 or 10.
Or is it?
My notes are Mason Verger on 10. So
on 10? Okay, then 10. Whenever he shows up. Every now and then, this happens with a show I love, with a cast that I adore, and somebody comes in and they're on a different frequency, shall we say.
Mm-hmm.
Although it isn't even a different frequency that works. I had to go back in my head and think about all the other actors who have come on and played psychopaths, psychotics, even just sociopaths or killers that are just sick in some other way. Mm-hmm. And nobody bothered me. I thought, like, okay, well, I mean, between like from Eddie Izzard to Amanda Plummer, who was sensational.
Amanda Plummer.
Got only 1 episode. Fuck you, show. But and you bring Michael Pitt back like 5 times. Or not 5. I don't want to exaggerate, but I think he's in 5 or 4 episodes. And I felt like, and this is not to disrespect Joel Schumacher and his memory, or his catalog of work, but I felt like he was playing a character in a Joel Schumacher Batman movie. I even at one point identified his voice. I was like, who is he reminding me of? And it made me think about Kids in the Hall Brain Candy. That scene where Bruce McCulloch.
I think I already know who you're talking about.
Can you say one of the lines? Because I think.
This is
Try
a
it.
drug that gives
No.
the ex-girlfriends. No? Not that guy?
Because the voice isn't quite that. Specifically just the voice. No, the general level of the character, yes. But okay, there's just like, yeah, there was this thing on toast fucking. It's this thing of fucking or getting fucked with toast. That's the voice that Michael Pitt uses throughout this whole, I mean, it is a voice.
Yeah.
It is an affectation. It does not feel like the character making a choice like that, because he even talks like that when he's under the influence of the drug that Hannibal gave him, and he's still there talking like that. And it even between his hair and his glasses, I feel like I'm watching an amateurish attempt to build a character outside of your own naturalistic tendencies, which, and anytime anybody does anything character-based, I kind of brace myself. Some people can do it really well because they know you still have to personalize shit. You have to make it second nature. You can't walk through it like you're playing a character.
Actually, do you know, really quick, do you know who I think did do it like well?
Who?
Gary Oldman as Mason Verger.
Oh!
Like,
Nice.
he had, I mean, obviously he's buried in makeup, but like, he has a vocal choice, but it feels like it's coming from somewhere organic. It doesn't sound like Gary Oldman's speaking voice. It is also a choice.
No, of course.
And it just so happens like that's a big, broad character choice, and coincidentally, it happens to be the same character.
The way I know the difference, gut-wise, I can't explain it any other way. Maybe people who have seen performances that affected them, maybe not everybody's affected by his performance the way I am, but if anybody has seen a performance that feels so broad and so outside the realm of anything that belongs on this show, to the point where you're literally trying to shut off half of your mind, maybe even hold up your hand to block out half the screen, so you only see in a two-shot the person working off of him, because on the other side of the screen is somebody effortlessly listening, being spontaneous, and saying their dialogue like it isn't fucking dialogue. It just sounds like words coming out of them. Even if it is highly stylistic and you feel like you're watching a crime drama, the cadence of it feels right. And he never once, not once, felt right for me. And it literally got to the point, I kept writing down notes like, he is draining my will to live. And writing notes like, I don't have the energy for this. It literally causes me pain to flex something inside myself to get through his scenes, because it's so self-conscious, so pushed, and so not what this show is about. He doesn't fit. So the fact that he comes back on numerous episodes, and the fact that he isn't killed off, he better not come back. He better fucking not come back. Because I kept thinking, who would I cast in this? And the first person I actually thought of, who I thought would have been really, really great, I don't know the actor's name, but he does creepy really, really well. He's even got kind of the same palette color, colors in his face and hair and eyes and everything. The guy who played the brother of the creepy family in Get Out, the fair-haired mustache guy with the ponytail.
Oh, yeah.
I thought he would have been fucking great.
Yeah, he was in X-Men First Class.
Yeah. And you know what? He's not the only one. I mean, there's a line of actors who I think would have made, at least done their part with this part. And it was so, for the number of episodes, every time he was on, it was grating. And it's probably what made me angriest out of the whole show, because I found myself looking forward to seeing Freddie Lounds. She came on stage and I was like, this is the difference, because I hate you, but you're giving me what I need. You're the character. You're doing a good job as an actress because I hate you, but I don't hate watching the actress. And I actually, as the season progressed, at one point I was like, how am I looking forward to seeing Freddie Lounds on screen. This is probably like around episode 8, I think. How am I looking forward to seeing Freddie Lounds on screen and not Alana? Like, I am preferring Freddie to Alana this season. They've done the impossible. Then he came around and I was just like, give me Freddie. Where's my Freddie? I had things so good in the first season and the first half of this season. That said, there's good things to say, but I've been talking a long time. Please say something.
Well, let me ask you, when you said you were going to text me with like a fuck you or whatever, was it because Michael Pitt showed up? Because I thought you meant it because something emotionally interesting happened on the show.
I mean, no, just the opposite. Yeah. It wasn't just that he showed up. It was, no, because I know that you probably, I don't know if you knew.
I didn't.
I was just like, yeah, I didn't think you did.
I didn't know he was on this show at all. So, and first, like, my only point of reference is Hannibal, the movie. So from what I understand, his sister is from the books, but she was omitted, as far as I know, from the movie completely. So so when he's having scenes with Catherine Isabel,
God,
her last name didn't click for me.
Okay.
So, and they're mentioning her brother for like at least like 2 episodes.
Yeah.
And then forget about your feelings or my feelings for a moment. We get to the barn and he starts walking up. He's holding this pig, and I just went, Mason Verger, oh my God, I know who you are, and I know what's gonna fucking happen to you. And I hope it fucking happens this season. Ooh, or maybe they won't. But Mike, you're gonna cut your fucking face off and you're gonna fucking eat it. Like, this is gonna be fun. So like it hit me in that horror movie way where like, in generally speaking, I don't want as a person to watch someone cut their face off and fucking eat it.
No.
But in media, in things that aren't real, the second Mason Verger was a character, I'm like, oh, I hope you fucking eat your face this season. I hope you feed it to some animals, and I hope we do the thing that I know, because it's nice to see them do the thing you know. But within the span of 10 seconds, I went, oh, and then I saw his face, and I was like, oh, and then I thought, fuck, I wonder what Eddie thinks about this. Because I will say I don't have as strong of an opinion that you do. Although I will never forget the story of him eating onions before his kissing scene kissing scenes in Hedwig.
Yeah.
Just to be a dick, and that's always rubbed me the wrong way. Here's what I was surprised by. I really, really liked him in Boardwalk Empire. I thought he did some of the best work I've ever seen him do on that show. And I thought he really grew compared to what I'd seen in the past. Yeah. And then this show happened, and I was like, but like Boardwalk Empire was like a hot minute ago. Like what is, I don't know. It's confusing for me without being too critical. It's just, but it's just such a broad choice.
Yeah.
And choices. And I just, within the first episode or 2, I was just like, I gotta trust Bryan Fuller here, like, right? Because like everyone else on this show is like performing at a fucking 11. I will say this though, and I know you won't agree with me. I kind of got used to it by like his last episode.
I agree, you got used to it.
I just sort of. But one thing, I'm glad that you brought up Schumacher Batman, because I had a different point of reference. I saw him there with this long coat and this furry collar and this very styled wild hair. And I just thought, you look like you're from Gotham, like the TV show.
Oh, okay.
Like you look like a Gotham villain. Like this was their Riddler and like this is your whatever. But he felt like, he felt very, I don't know if you've ever seen that show, but like their Penguin has.
I've seen commercials. I've seen what they do.
The gangsters have very stylized kind of big fluffy coats and silly hair. And yeah, it felt like he could have been Jonathan Crane, you know? Yeah. Like a very Schumacher Jonathan Crane. But I definitely thought of you. But it's funny because here's the complete opposite of that. Okay. I am a fucking massive Catherine Isabel fan.
God, yes.
From the moment I saw Ginger Snaps, I'm like, this fucking girl. And then she showed up in Freddy vs. Jason.
Freddy vs. Jason, yeah.
All 3 Ginger Snaps movies. I mean, she's barely in 2, but still. No matter what she's in, the good or the bad, because I think it was called like The 88, starring. I will fucking Now You See Me 2. Well, it's not Now You See Me 2. See No Evil 2.
Oh, okay.
Completely different movie.
Yeah, I was just gonna. Wow. All right.
No. See No Evil 2 with her and Danielle Harris, I think.
Yeah.
I'll watch her in goddamn anything. And I would maintain this is probably the finest work I've seen from her. I loved every second of everything she put on camera this season.
I think her first 3 sessions, by the end of them, went, what the fuck happened? Mm-hmm. I didn't even pay attention because I got so lost in her eyes and just her way. She's so fucking watchable. Like, she's captivating. I just almost became entranced.
It's such a rich performance, though. It's another person on the show that, like I've said this about Lawrence Fishburne already, they don't have a lot of lines or they don't have anything. Yeah. They're giving me everything without the text. It's just, first of all, every section she's in is great. But I mean, when we get scenes of her and her brother and just,
God,
her body language and just, fuck.
I felt like, again, like, and I was watching, and I was just like, one of these things is not like the other. During performances with her and her brother, I was just like, God, how monumental would these scenes be if she had somebody who could at least meet her halfway and be in contact with her and not just kind of, I mean, that's the thing, is I didn't believe the spontaneity of him once, and yet I'm watching her, and I love it when I get to watch actors do this. Another memory I have of it where I'm watching, like, it's a 2-shot and there's like one actor fucking delivering and another actor, and I'm going, I'm just gonna watch you and be in amazement because you gave yourself something. You're not giving your performance away. You gave yourself an adjustment. Like, and I thought, I think my prime example is that movie State and Maine, and no disrespect, but Rebecca Pidgeon, I don't think she's anybody's favorite actress. And Philip Seymour Hoffman are sitting on a park bench.
Good way to put it.
She's supposed to be this kind of salt of the earth person. I don't remember if she walks dogs or teaches preschool, something like that. And, like a woman of the people kind of thing, like who runs around wearing earth tones and has bangs and, like just sees the world as it is, but sees hope and shit.
Sure.
And Philip Seymour Hoffman plays this kind of jaded character. I haven't seen it in ages, but I just remember he plays this jaded character, and she's supposed to be kind of like his window or even his gateway back to hope. And she's sitting there just talking about the world the way it is. And you look at him, she's not doing anything. She's just saying lines. That literally like I just did. And he's just sitting there looking at her, and he looks so enchanted, so engrossed in everything that she's saying. And he's just finding himself. He's getting his soul back as he's listening to her. And I'm just like, good for you. Good for you. You maybe you just thought like, okay, she's a little wooden. You know what? Maybe I think that's adorable. Maybe I think like her kind of weird affectation of the way she speaks is kind of like a frankness. Like, but whatever he gave himself, it worked. And I feel like everybody had to do that this season. And I don't want this to be about bashing Michael Pitt. That's why I wanted to say I saw Funny Games. And I was like, I saw the movie. It is what it is. I don't think it's a bad movie, but I'm never seeing it again. Fuck me. Nihilism. But I thought he was fine. I thought he did his job. I was like, oh, cool. And I've been hearing good things about him on Boardwalk Empire. Didn't know he's on fucking Hannibal. And then I see this and I'm like,
yeah. Well, the second he started doing what he's doing, I'm like, oh,
yeah.
Sorry, Eddie. I didn't know.
But that said, Catherine Isabel and her hatred, and even just her history, she carries her history in with her when she's having her interactions with him. And I believe everything she says, and she doesn't even need to say everything. I know there's other shit that we don't even know that I'm just like, you poor fucking thing. I wish you could just get what you want.
Right.
And I'm again rooting for this, is it inhumane? It's a murder, but who the fuck is it? Like I definitely, if I have to choose between them, I'm definitely rooting for her character and
Yeah,
her
on paper, her, and then performances, sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. The thing that I really like this season just as much as I did like last season.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to say something separate that then leads back to what we're saying, but there's blatantly, this show, I said it last time, has a voice, it has a tone. When you go to a Mammoth play, you're going to get Mammoth dialogue, and they don't talk in a Mammoth play the way fucking normal people talk in real life, and so on. And the people in this show, I can't ever see like the sessions or even just like the dinners and then having them be like, well, that was a good dinner. Thanks. Oh yeah, thanks. I'll see you next time. Yeah, let me show you to the door. Like everything is just these moments and these thoughts, and everything. 98% of a lot of what I see on TV, the people who are speaking are saying exactly what they're fucking thinking. And in this show, I'm constantly just like reading what's really being said. But every character, this show is a completely different heightened reality, or at least within this profession of people and this unit, this community of people, and their fucking and Will's just all their damages, all their bullshit. It's just so, it's a tone. It is a thing. It is a mindset for me to get into. It is a vibe, and Michael Pitt doesn't fit that vibe. Not even as a critique so much as literally every other kind of person as a variable that would kind of break that bubble still wiggles their way within it. Scott Thompson and the other guy have a banter that isn't chuckle cheesel banter. It's just enough.
It's still of the world. It doesn't make me go,
Dan Fogler, who has,
oh yeah.
I mean, I don't know if enough people talk about this, but like I've met him several times at cons, at least 3 times, and his vibe and cadence is so like affable, and then the amount of restraint that he can show in different roles and the focus he has is so great. So that even when he's playing a somewhat a little more youthful, a little more loosey-goosey guy than Hannibal's circles, he still is playing within the framework of what the show is. And then this Gotham character shows up. And it just didn't gel for me because I don't feel like he's gelling within the vibe of the show. The only thing that I could justify it was that, if Hannibal has essentially a Rolodex of people he think are rude.
Like, that was great. Yeah.
My recipe calls for thigh. I remember that guy who didn't fucking squeegee my windshield right or whatever. Let me go murder him.
Discourteous people, yes.
Right. So I feel like this show got me to empathize with Hannibal. Why we need to kill this dude.
That's a good way to watch it. That is probably the lens to which I will return to those episodes with. I'll have to.
Right. I get, I already understand just through the text what Catherine Isabel's going through, but her resistance to him, Hannibal's animosity towards him at all, part of it, my gateway to it is what we're getting from him. I remember watching him in the chair and just fucking stabbing the seat. I'm like, who the fuck are you, dude? Stab this fucker's leather chair. And he's I'm like, kill this motherfucker. Like Morgan Freeman. Kill this motherfucker.
Well, what I liked about it was watching Hannibal watch him do that and watching. I mean, talk about restraint, but also watching
underneath.
There was nothing happening, and yet everything was happening.
Yeah.
And he was letting. That's the thing. Mads Mikkelsen was letting us do so much of the work. It wasn't like he was resting on his laurels or anything, but you only have to do so much. Just kind of do a double take. But I appreciated the fact that I was just kind of like, okay, this fucker's going down. The problem is I really wanted to see him die, and I didn't get that. I don't know what's in store in season 3, but we'll get there because I do want to sing some praises unless you have any more critiques for this particular topic.
Well, I do just want to point out that, like, because all I'm saying is this.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm Catherine Isabel's agent, I would expect phone calls all the time. And if I'm casting directors, I don't care what, but like no matter what project comes in, I'm like, is there something for Catherine Isabel in this? Like, give her all the things. If you haven't seen her in
Jesus.
Hannibal, you're missing out on like. Ugh! Okay. That's.
I have another person to praise.
Well,
yes.
no, I still have one more thing to say on this. I will.
Okay, go for it.
It's interesting because I want to say Mason can't be dead because if this show is a prequel to the novels and the movies, he has to still be alive.
Wow.
For Hannibal to happen. But this show also chops things up and repurposes and plays with things, so maybe he won't. But as much as maybe you wanted him dead, if he dies, then his sister, like there's no inheritance for her. She has nothing. And I could tell that was definitely Hannibal's, like they were discussing, like
yes, he
plants a seed for her to get pregnant so that she could still have the male inheritance thing on her side.
Right.
If you kill him, you fuck her over. And clearly she is someone worth protecting.
Sure.
So honestly, I didn't see it come back. If I remember correctly, in Hannibal, the movie, he's also like, he can't walk.
Mm-hmm.
So when he was like, I was like, oh, we killed him. And then like a second later, I'm like, oh no, you didn't. You fucking paralyzed him. And like, this is doing the thing. And again, but contextually, because again, I'm pretty sure the movie cuts her out. But now we have like more, like they gave me a why as to why he's in the wheelchair, and not just he's in a wheelchair and he was face once. Like,
and a history, yeah.
Right. So I love that they protected her. Like he protected her by, because he's a smart enough guy. He knows just enough to snap someone's neck.
Plot-wise, I agree with you completely. Right. I was being very selfish because it was around episode 4 of him by that time, and I was like, I can't. I literally can't. I don't have I want my show back. And then spoilers, folks, I got it.
Boy, did we get our show back.
Okay, but before, because I have some people in the beginning, or from the beginning, because I don't want to go episode by episode, but I'll never get to these things unless I just kind of discuss the things as I saw them. Cynthia Nixon fucking showing up and I just knew immediately, seeing Katie, I was just like, oh my God, we have a truth seeker. And again, another character who I'm so worried about and who I'm not really rooting for, but I am. Because I want to know, what the fuck is she going to find? How long before she's got a fucking secret too? She doesn't have one as of this season, or at least one that we know of. But I loved watching her work. I was so happy to see her. I loved that it was introducing Will as the incarcerated consultant. I mean, essentially like he and Hannibal in swapped roles for the first half of this season. And all the things that they were discussing, like obsession versus intrigue. And, and I made a note, and I'm going to come back to it later because I don't remember when it changed. But at one point, I agreed with you because I saw the stag in episode 1, and I was like, I just wrote down, stag, so obviously, Hannibal now, John Carlos was right. And then later on, I don't remember when, something happened, and I changed my mind. We'll have to get to that when we get to it, because unfortunately, I didn't highlight any of my shit.
The season plays with what Will's becoming. It became, I actually started leaning towards you a bit, where it was a blend where like it was still sort of Hannibal, but it was also like the harbinger of like the guidance of death. So we started having, it was never as black and white. We started having Will's transition, but still having the stag, but still having the Hannibal Wendigo, and then him become like.
Which made this season feel very Frankenstein to me. I mean, the first original James Whale movie where, like it's called Frankenstein, and obviously there's like a lot of duality through, imagery throughout that movie. And like James Whale and like maybe even Mary Shelley herself wanted you to kind of blur the line between the two of them. Maybe they wanted us to refer to the monster as Frankenstein, and confuse him with his creator, because that's the whole point, is that they're it gets to the point. I mean, and there's so much imagery in this season. I mean, it's spelled out so clearly, but I'm still here for it. About just kind of like the dividing line between the two of them evaporating until they both just kind of become one not complete person, but one identity. And we're left to kind of question how much of it is Will playing at kind of submitting to Hannibal, and how much of it is Will thinking he's playing at submitting to Hannibal, when in reality, he's losing his grip in a way he can't even fathom because Hannibal.
Right.
So I fucking adored that. I loved Alana's faith at the beginning of the season. God.
Yeah, Alana's, she has a journey.
Oh, and okay. Did we already cover this? I wrote it again. No, I'm still looking at season 1. God damn it, we did already cover it. Okay, I'm turning the page. I wrote, make Will's lawyer good, please, when his lawyer was supposed to come in. Who was his lawyer? Did his lawyer come in? Who was his lawyer? I don't even remember now.
Oh, well, they had that one hearing.
Oh, that's right. I like that guy.
His lawyer
Okay,
gets the envelope with the ear.
The guy, see, oh my God, so much has happened. I
And the
completely
flaky
forgot what
blood
happened.
that looked like glitter.
And the guy who was basically kind of like the bottom line guy. He wasn't all about nuance and all that. He was just kind of like, no, if we want to get you off, then it's fine. We don't have to worry about all that bullshit. I've done hundreds and thousands of these things. Believe me, I know what I'm talking about. And actually, I did trust him. I'm looking for pluses because those are always the most important things. Anytime any of the dogs whine, I'm in hell. Anytime the dogs are off camera or go into the house or into the woods and they whine, don't do this to me, you fucking show. I wrote Martin Donovan with an exclamation mark. And he
I'm
played
right there with you, though.
Yeah.
I was reading the credits. I'm like, Martin Donovan.
Yeah, right. And I was just kind of like, I fucking love you. You're again in the background of everything.
Yeah, put anything. I'm down.
Yeah. Hannibal just saying, and you can trust me. Fuck whatever. Okay. And then the whole, I'm just jumping around like a madman, but Bedelia going to Will and saying, I believe you. I don't know, because that was like the last thing that happened in that episode. And I don't know the last time I feel like my heart stopped, yet was beating faster than it ever has in my life, because I just was happy. My hand's shaking. I was happy, but I didn't know why, because it didn't feel like there was really anything to be happy for yet. But I thought, is she kind of on his side? But I don't know, and I can't trust anything. I can't trust anything in this fucking show.
Just making sure. Did you watch the finale all the way through?
Yes.
Okay. Between her, I believe you, and then her coming back to the feds and talking, I was like, cool. All right, cool. And then she returns, and I'm like, God, damn it,
fucking piece of shit psychiatrist.
I believe you so much worse. Yeah.
It was horrible. It was horrible.
I mean, there's so much. If you stop and think about the degree of the machinations that Hannibal is constantly behind, to that degree of, even though Will and Jack have this plan, how much of it is Hannibal allowing that plan? And things seem to be going really well until that, I think, the second to last episode, and he gets the whiff of Freddy on him. And he gives him like one last shot to kind of really put it all on. I'm like, nope, all right,
Front Street.
All right.
Yeah.
No, you're gonna keep doing this, and I'm gonna smell Freddy on you. Fuck you, then. Do you have more little things you want to ramble? I have some things to ramble on too about.
Well, just on the heels of, I mean, there's so much, but on the heels of Bedelia on the plane, another thing that I got in a strong Broadway from the show this season was Hannibal, even more so than in season 1. Season 2 gave me Hannibal, ultimate manipulator, ultimate kind of codependent. I don't even know what word to talk about it aside from like codependent maniac. And I don't mean maniac in like, yeah, but I mean maniac just in terms of it feels subhuman. It feels robotic. And really it's just patterns of behavior, and I'd say either a disorder or I don't know what you'd call, I guess a pathology. But it feels so much worse than that, given the damage he's done and the damage he's capable of. Because I at this point, I really feel like there's nothing Hannibal can't get away with. Obviously, that's not the case, because I don't think this show will lead to Hannibal living the life of the free, but we do have a whole season to get to. I doubt he's going to spend most of it incarcerated. You know, I feel like season 3 is going to be all about the pursuit, the hunt. That was another thing I loved thematically that they were juggling the whole season. Was, again, they introduced it in the first season, but they really, it starts off with Dream Will teaching Dream Abigail to fish. And the difference, the juxtaposition of fishing and hunting that her father taught her in season 1, because she was a fisherman and her father was a hunter. Father made her into a hunter in the guise of a fisherman. Now Will is teaching her to fish properly, as he is playing at, or the whole season, the question mark, slowly becoming a hunter, a fisherman turned hunter. And
it's interesting because he is very aggressively, it feels like he's being the hunter for a good chunk of this season, and yet by the time we get to the finale, I feel like he is the fisherman. Well, essentially, he is not just the fisherman; he is the lure.
Yeah.
For Hannibal, he's feeling this thing that Hannibal's been wanting to mold and then befriend and have that relationship, and all that promise of it is the lure. So I will say this: the first time we saw Will in the river, because we saw him in the river, I like going back to it. But the first time he was with Abigail, and I think it was in episode 4. Episode 4 is my favorite episode of the season. That was the one I wrote the most about. I felt the most things in it. I thought, it was great. But again, the first time I see him, and we show the two of them together, and he's teaching her about the lore, I was just like, just melted and felt feelings. That was my first pulling an Eddie. I was like,
yeah, me too.
Can I run through some of my random little
go for it
bullet points, or at least, because I remember just in episode 1, some of these are just feelings, but I remember the second Frederick Chilton showed up in episode 1, I went, boo, like, fuck. Because I mean, he's magnificent. Raul Esparza, right? He's magnificent playing this, and that again, that's another thing where it's a little more than what Will and Hannibal are giving, but it fits within.
It does.
That's how you do that.
So
Raul Esparza,
inarguably Chilton, and yet it's his Chilton.
Yeah.
And it doesn't feel like it's coming from his head. It feels like it's coming from a very effortless, dimensional place. Yeah, that doesn't make me tired watching it. I delight watching him play Chilton, and to the point where, oh God, he got me on Chilton's side. Chilton had one of the funniest lines this whole season. Where was it? Fuck me.
Fuck me?
No, he said Chilton's suspicion of Lecter. Oh, here it is. The funniest line of the series. Abel Gideon was half eaten in my guest room. I have corpses on my property. You just threw up an ear. I had to rewind it and hear it again.
Yeah.
I was like, this is amazing.
Yeah. Oh, you think you've got it bad?
Yeah. I thought it was delicious. But I did feel for him when he was going through his house. First of all, I was like, don't go downstairs.
Yeah.
Don't you fucking go downstairs. You should know better than this.
Yeah.
But you're going to do it, and then you should have known better than to run. I mean, come on, motherfucker.
Honestly,
grab a weapon.
Running to Will was at least like the right, that was like, where else are you going to go? But still. I actually, this isn't a bolt, but in episode 4, I'll get to episode 4 later, but I will say in episode 4, that's when Chilton flat out is walking with Hannibal and accuses him of like, psychically like driving Will to do a thing. And I'm like, bro, you don't want to be doing that. Like, you don't want to be accusing, fuck it, this is bad. And in that instance, between I had this morbid idea of like, for the first time I felt nervous for Hannibal and Bella to be in the same room.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, I don't think he has a reason to, but I also never will fully understand him. Started to feel a little nervous for Bella. I actually started feeling nervous for Chilton.
Yeah.
Before Beverly makes her way into the house, I'm like, why am I nervous for everyone in this fucking episode now? That I wasn't, like, everyone has some new thing for me to be scared for them for. And the fact that I was even nervous for Chilton at all, but good job. I actually was nervous for you. Lord knows you already had your guts pulled out. Episode 1, I was so upset, so mad, just going off the heels of season 1, just about the betrayal being a driving theme that you had, as far as the fact that Hannibal still go visit Will, talking in therapy about how he wants this friendship, and then we'll look at him right in the face and continue to lie to him about how Will was behind these murders. And I'm like, oh, the fucking hypocrisy here.
Yeah.
And how you still, and that's only the starting point. Over the course of this whole season, this weird, constantly episode to episode, like evolving and back and forth, and lies and manipulation and justifications that just keep. This season was so complicated. In fact, I'd say that one of the things that this show could fail at, that I find a lot of shows fail at, is when you have a simple story or relationship that you couldn't sustain over 12 or 15 or 20 episodes, and how they sort of justify pulling the taffy and ignoring the way relationships and things really happen, so that I don't believe that this would be drawn out this long. Or if you create twists and turns, I'm like, well, the twists and turns are only there to draw out what would have ended already. But this show, even though it totally does that, like, if you're talking about a murderer and a federal, like, this in reality probably would never go on this long.
Couldn't.
The tone of the show, for the vibe they're going for, they are allowed to create complex enough characters with complicated enough relationships that it does continue this long. And they do have this, they evolve to this weird give and take, and actual affection and fake affection. The steps he's going to actually become a killer or not become a killer, to lie to Hannibal, they don't pull the taffy. It's one of the few shows that writes rich enough material that it's okay for this to go on for 13 episodes and not just end with someone getting arrested after 3 episodes.
Yeah.
Really well done.
Absolutely.
I was surprised. I couldn't help but wondering at the end of season 1, with Will in jail, is it just going to be like, well, now we're going to go to Will with cases? And in the first episode, like, Beverly's going to him, I'm like, there it is. Like, this is our show this season. Got it. And then it very quickly became like, no. Just Beverly's going to him.
Yeah.
And
without Jack knowing. Yeah.
Right. So it became better than the obvious.
I got the Beverly I wanted. Like, and not that I'm criticizing the Beverly I got, but you know that I didn't respond to her positively in the first season, and that's not a criticism of the writing. It's just that, I didn't like the character. I was like, you're not treating Will right, but there was room for growth, and I feel like the bond that they were working on together in those conversations from inside his cell and across the bars and everything. Oh my God, it was magnetic.
I rooting for her, and I was devastated when she died, because I really thought the show was setting me up to be like, this is going to be our way to help Will.
It was devastating because I loved the fact that we got to feel the loss, the impact. I mean, we talk about this in our movie breakdowns a lot, about kind of like the aftermath of one person being lost and you get to go to the funeral and whatnot. Thing is, we didn't go to her funeral, but we did get to see Jack speak to a room full of people. And we did, it broke my heart when I saw Scott Thompson and the other guy. I wrote his name down somewhere. But when we got to see the two of them just deal with the loss and exhume her body, because they were so, it broke my heart because I'm going to cry. It broke my heart because they lost her and they wanted to find out why. And they didn't want to put it in the hands of anybody else. It's so sad, because this was personal. This was, I'm going to go, but no, really got to me. I just kept crying every time I kind of got reminded, like, that people are feeling the impact of her being killed the way she was, and also just being
and having to see.
Yes, that was horror. I was sobbing over that too. I haven't sobbed over any of these. I mean, I sobbed when Georgia got killed, but I didn't sob when I had to see the aftermath. I just kind of felt like, this is terrible. When I saw Beverly, I think because it was so cold, it was so, again, detached, scientific and almost artistic and sick. It was next level. It was something I haven't seen before. And it was almost avant-garde because it wasn't her cut up entirely. It was like, here's half, and then here's the other. Oh, it fucking pissed me off. I hated it. 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 That's all I have to say.
Going back to episode one last thing.
Yeah.
He's in therapy with, I knew her name last time we talked, but now I'm just going to call her Scully.
Bedelia?
Bedelia. She mentions that he doesn't know what you're capable of, and he's like, neither do you. And I was just like, oh, I feel like that one sentence is going to be like this season. I feel like I was right.
I felt that way about a lot of lines this season, but
now something that happened for me this season, it happened for me at all last season, and it's very hard for me to get a reaction out of me when it comes to gore. I just go, Weee. But when the guy that we see in episode 2 is stitched to the other bodies as he's ripping himself free, I was squirming, and he was stitched at like 4 different places. So he gets like his face free. I have to watch his leg. I have to watch his back, and I have to watch the skin rip. And I was just, my notes were skin rip OMFG. Just, and that guy like sells the fuck out of it. Also, episode 4, because I keep referencing episode 4, but fucking Beehive Man, where his face and body has been colonized and hived by this most disgusting thing I've seen. I can watch all the Saw movies, and I can watch someone jump rope with organs and stuff and fall on saw blades, but don't show me the Beehive Man.
Who's alive?
Yeah.
He was alive! I wrote that down in all caps.
No. She kind of lobotomized him. He walks out into the. I left him in the woods, and he can just,
Oh my God! I can't. I winced. Especially the first half, but really the whole season. I winced so much more this season because I do think they gave us a little less aftermath, but the aftermath was even more visceral somehow. But they gave us a lot of procedure. They gave us a lot of, or not a lot of, but they gave us more than we had season 1. Season 1, I feel like we came to a lot of things after the deeds had been done. This one, I feel like we got to watch a lot more of the process, no matter who the killer was. It was rare not to see the process, but the odd thing is, even though I was wincing and even though I was going nuts, I wouldn't have had the show go any other way. I was just kind of like, yeah, it's season 2. Makes sense. As I'm weeping again. But something I did love that also gut punched me, but not in a gruesome way. Let's talk a little bit about Bella, shall we?
Yeah, actually, that was literally the next thing on my list. Do you mind if I just mention this?
Please.
Okay, so last season, it wasn't even a complaint, but I did say I wish I got more Bella because they brought her in towards the beginning, and then she's kind of absent from the later part. And sure enough, Jesus, this fucking season, in just the right amount, they bring her in for quite a bit. In episode 4, we bring her in again for the last episode. But she has. Episode 4 fucks me up. Her first visit with Hannibal, great. But then we get her scene with her in bed with Jack. And just the nature of where she's going. And just, again, I'm curious that we have 2 people in a bed, and at what point does she get to lean in? Who blocks what? Who makes what choices? But when he's talking about how he's going to remember her, and he's fucking grabs her hands. He talks about how your hands are going to smell the spices like when I get home. And always remember her as beautiful she was written. Like that whole scene, like put like a little fucking bow on it. This was me doing an Eddie, just like alone, like at 1 a.m, like but going beyond just episode 4, if you want to talk about, wait, this is gonna sound stupid. You did say Bella, right?
Yeah.
Okay. For some reason, my brain thought you might have said a different name, and I'm now going on a Bella tangent.
My face would have looked like this. It would have been like,
huh? Yeah.
I said
towards the end of the episode, when fucking Bella takes, was it morphine? She takes all of her drugs, all of her morphine.
Yes.
Like the floor dropped from underneath me. The way moments in real life when the floor drops underneath you. I ached, I eddied, and then that's a verb now. I eddied.
You eddied.
Yeah. But what really got, first of all, just the idea of like her not, like either way I'm doing this, but I'm doing it here so that he doesn't have to have that image in his house. Which I get psychologically, I understand like the idea of, I think about the idea of like tainting places. You know, like, because there's like a park that I'm like, hey, I got dumped at that park. So like, I know like things, and I'm like, I don't want to create this memory for this person here, and we could do. I get it, but beyond just the idea of like denying Jack the right goodbye or whatever, what fucked me up was that when she dies, like Hannibal takes like this moment, and like has to be like, well, I got 1 of 2 things I could probably do here. Let me get my coin. I'm like, oh God, because he, in my opinion, it kind of does the right thing. But the thing that I can't let go of is like, what if the coin hadn't landed that way?
Yeah.
Like you're kind of, fuck, you're a monster. Okay.
Yeah. We don't know what that necessarily would have meant for Bella. And the fact that what I wrote was
he's also genuinely, I think he is building, in his twisted fucking acceptance of it, a friendship with Jack that matters to him to a certain degree, that he has to do this for Jack regardless of the coin. I figured like that would have been his decision anyway.
I honestly believe he would have let her die. The question I had was, then what?
Right.
That's the gruesome territory my imagination goes to the alternative.
Because I mean, her choosing to die and him allowing that's fine, but just where do we go from there? I'm not.
Yeah.
Because that episode did solidify something for me, which was, oh, Bella's safe. Like I don't have to worry about you. Like that worry I had, I'm not worried about. Within the span of an episode, I went from like, could he, to like, oh no, he's never gonna. Got it. Okay.
I don't share that.
Yeah, no, I feel like she's okay in his book as far as the way he values the rudeness and valuing what little he thinks of people and their value and them being neat. I'm like, I don't think she gets to be classified to that degree.
I honestly don't know, because there's a lot.
He's doing her a favor, and I don't think that's how he operates. So,
there are a lot of things that I thought Hannibal had decided that were kind of fine and done, particularly things that happened in season 2, that all of a sudden there's a reveal, and I'm like, but I thought you have, and I keep forgetting, like, I'm not watching Dexter. He doesn't have a code. Like he's always going to fall. He's always going to submit to his curiosity, his own natural sick inquiry about what is more interesting. He's a slave to that. Like, and he'll regret it. He'll feel it all the way. He will feel bad all the way to the morgue, or to whatever field he leaves you in, or barn, or silo, or whatever fucking warehouse he leaves you in. But because this is the reason why I don't necessarily. I get what you mean. The word safe doesn't feel right at all for me, because number one, the fact that Bella, when she was discussing her suicide in episode 4, saying that it made her feel alive, that was new. Like, maybe it was just her delivery. Something about it in an odd way, made me really want it for her. Just as someone who cares for her and just I don't think she's being impulsive or reckless. I think she's thought this through, and it's her fucking life. And unfortunately, Hannibal wasn't the person to do this. I mean, granted, who's to say that anybody else wouldn't have acted? Right, but who's to say that anybody else would have acted any differently if she would have done this in front of them? But there was just something
I don't think other people would have flipped the coin, though.
Exactly. That there's something about the coin flip that really offends me and hurts like my soul. And that's why when I just wrote, when Bella slaps Hannibal, I say brava.
Yeah.
And then later when she comes back, here I have it right here. Where Bella. Just she talks about her. Where is it? Shit, I don't want to waste any time.
Well,
there were so many lines in that last thing.
Was it about
Bella? She says, "You moved my punctuation mark. You changed my meaning." And I wrote, Hannibal wronged, parentheses, saved, Bella for Jack. And she says, will you save him for me when I'm gone? And I'm like, no, he fucking won't. Because we all saw the beginning of the fucking season. And that's when it fucking came back to me. And I was just like, and then I was back and I'm like, yep, here we go. Fucking piece of shit. Fuck, I hate you fucking piece of shit. I'm just going to curse. I'm sorry.
No. I'm glad you brought that up because I wrote that down and was going to ask you something that popped in my head, not the first time, something that popped in my head about half an hour before we started recording.
Yes.
Because again, some of these things, when you revisit them, you go, she talks about how he saved her for Will. I'm sorry, he saved her for Jack. But you save him for me when I'm gone. And I couldn't help but wonder, maybe, just maybe, he's fighting Jack, and obviously he's behind him, so he doesn't have a great eye as to exactly where along the neck he's stabbing.
Yeah.
But do you think he actually was? Like, I am going to save him for you. I'm going to get him to stop fighting me. I'm going to stab him in the neck just deep enough that he won't, if he manages to cover it, like, he can survive this. Get him in there. Like, I can't help but wonder how much that was a calculated depth of stab. Because I didn't think about it the first time, but I thought about that line again. I thought, maybe in a weird fucking way, he did save him for you.
I can't give Hannibal that much credit. I'm so fucking mad at him.
There's a lot to be mad about, not only in the season, but in the last episode alone. But I just couldn't help but wonder if that's a line that's going to come back and that's a beat that's going to come back. I mean, I personally wouldn't, but I can't help but wonder. That's all.
I wrote I love Freddie's question in episode 5. When I think she's bartering with Will at this point. And she says, I wrote Freddie's smartest question yet. She says, are you trying to catch him or contact him? And I'm just like, you know what's going on. That was when I first started to kind of be like, okay, you're not just some little dipshit with a website. Like, you're actually showing a twinge of or a piece of a gift to me. I was all for the orderly this season, played by Jonathan Tucker. Oh my God, who I didn't recognize. I was like, and I saw him and I was like, who the fuck are you? And I looked it up and he was Morgan in the Texas Chainsaw reboot, the one you hate. But he's awesome. Like, I thought he was really, really good in the reboot, actually.
I can't remember what he was in because I know him from being something younger. Like as a kid.
Yeah, younger, I don't know.
But I'll always think of him from The Ruins.
Yeah, Ruins was the other thing I saw him, and I was just kind of like, oh, okay, I like him. And then I watched his performance, and I was just kind of, again, setting him up, I was just kind of like, this is great. Like, and I love writing wise, like I love the fact that Will is sending the orderly to kill Hannibal Lecter. I thought it was brilliant. I said, if he succeeds, Lecter is out of the picture. If he fails, there's one less psychopath inside the system.
Right.
But then fucking Gideon overhears it. And I'm right back to being angry and clenched.
You know what? This show, and I don't mean this as an insult, because it's a reinterpretation of it, but this show is melodrama.
Yeah.
As far as the way, again, like I was talking about how like the relationships, you create something complex so that things can unfold over time, but what you are essentially prolonging a drama, and you are creating new hiccups that like no one's walking in with like the little piano music playing, like holding a glass and saying, how dare you? But like, it is a very, very smart approach to...
I can't let it go. I'm sorry. You should have said another line. You're doing Eddie Redmayne.
I was doing a little. But no, but there are things within the structure that feel like good old-fashioned melodrama, but are played with in very contemporary new ways.
I agree.
Yep, I love the whole orderly storyline with Jonathan Tucker.
Mm-hmm.
Something else, let me go back to some of my bullet points real quick.
Yes.
Actually, let me go back to episode 4, which delivered so much. That episode also had fucking Amanda Plummer.
Yes.
Like doing what she does
the beekeeper.
so goddamn well.
Yeah.
So props to her. Also, that was the first episode that really beat me over the head with a strong music choice. They had these really heavy organ things.
Yeah. I wrote Carnival of Souls.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Great reference.
Absolutely.
Great fucking reference.
Mm-hmm.
Then 3 episodes later, there was a whole episode that's just beating you over the head with the woodwind section. Then also the next episode with the orderly, it was all percussions. It was just like heavy drumming. It's like the music from the 60s.
Yeah.
In a good way. So I really like some of the bolder music choices.
Yeah, I agree completely.
But yeah, just everything, so much happens in episode 4. I mean, like, Will remembers... I love episode 1. He remembers the tube going down his mouth, but then like he remembers being with fucking Gideon.
Yeah.
Beverly gets like the evidence that like leads her to talking to Will about like the missing organ. That's like the first time it's like, oh, like he's eating them, and that's like we finally like season 1. I'm like, when is Will gonna find out?
Yes.
Hannibal's a cannibal.
Yes.
And that flashback was great, and I love that also. And then the worst foreshadowing ever, because it's in that scene where he's like, tells Beverly, like, you need to stay away from Hannibal Lecter.
Mm-hmm.
And then in the same fucking episode,
I know,
fucking dies.
Yeah.
Also, and I have a question for you.
Yeah.
Beverly goes downstairs into his little like basement chamber of meat and cooking and death. Yeah. And she turns on this light and she sees stuff and she goes, oh God. And then we go, oh, and then Hannibal's behind her. Ah, scary. Flicks the lights. Great shit, right? Then it's the finale and Abigail's alive. And I can't help but wonder, did Beverly see Abigail when she was down there? And not just, I don't know, some meat on a hook?
I didn't even think about that.
I can't help but wonder, like, did she see Abigail down there in general? Did she see her with like, like some bandage on her ear? Because I can see Abigail just seeing her being perfectly still going like. Yeah.
I mean, I think.
Because it's not the imagination anyway, but I can't help. It's just something to think about.
Only thing that makes me think no is the fact that like she does have to flick on lights before she goes down there. And Abigail's pretty sick, she's getting brainwashed even more so.
Right. She might be chilling.
So her alone in the dark with a bunch of corpse pieces, maybe she's just cleaning up late at night. But I don't know. I didn't.
It's something to ponder though.
Yeah, I'm pondering it. I can't stop.
Even without definitive things, you can just go, it could. And it
could have been.
I like thinking about shit like that.
Also, I found the thing that sorry, I'm jumping back to episode 3. Just the first thing that I found about the stag that made me think, fuck, was I right? And it was just the sequence where the stag is leading Will out of his cell, while Hannibal, in his actual human form, is leading him back in. And I was like, and the stag, there was nothing foreboding about it. It seems to actually be, you know, there seemed to be something serene about it. There didn't seem to be something foreboding. I wasn't worried about him leaving his cell. What I was worried about was seeing him turn back and seeing Hannibal, a separate entity, lead him back in. And I felt like, okay, is this Will's own identity pulling him out of, you know, just like trying to get him back to the river, trying to get him back to himself, someplace elemental, someplace of the earth that isn't demonic and that isn't that man, that isn't connected to him, something that he had intact before he ever came in contact with him. So that was the first time that I started to wonder what the fuck with this imagery. And I didn't stop asking, but I don't know where the rest of those are. Meow, 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 meow.
When
She's
this series,
singing.
when we're done with season 3,
Come here. Yeah?
yeah, when we're done with season 3, I would like to go onto like a little dive and see other people's, either people from the production or people on the internet, you know, who are fans, you know, fanables, who see like what is the full stag thing.
Yeah, it's
Well,
well, okay.
A greater grip on it.
Yeah.
But
because another thing with the music at the end of episode 3, I just wrote scraping noises and sorrowful sounds. Like they really, I don't think there was anything pedestrian about the first season music. The thing is, I think maybe it was just a little bit more kind of what we've come to expect from crime drama. Maybe I don't remember referencing it very much in our discussion.
No,
I don't remember it.
Big swings.
Yeah, I don't remember it having a direct impact on me where I'm just like, holy shit, these sounds are fucking my ears. And I had that a lot with this second season. I was really grateful for a lot of the choices they made.
Mason Verger tripping. That circus nightmare horror show sounds.
Would have been. I was too upset hearing him laugh. I thought it, seriously, even his laugh, I was like, I'm not, stop it! This would have been amazing! I would have been so scared, and instead I'm just annoyed. I'm sorry. I said I wasn't going to criticize him anymore.
I will say I was very happy in episode 6 when Will flat out tells Jack that Hannibal is a cannibal. Get so much of this season. One of the things I liked about this season was that like there's a lot of putting it all on Front Street.
Yeah.
Even if when Hannibal's putting certain feelings on Front Street, there is more to it underneath, but there's a lot of truth coming to light as far as certain federal agents and people putting it all out there. There's a lot of accusations. There's a lot of cannibal revelations between Chilton and Hannibal. Like, I respected that the writers weren't being so coy, but really giving you the juicy shit while still maintaining the tone of the show.
Yeah. I had another question in episode 6. The character who keeps making his victims into a tree is named Sheldon Isley, and he works for the EPA. And I was like, are we doing a little Poison Ivy nod? Is this a little DC reference for, you know? So that was just a little thing that made me happy. But there was also a sequence where Will's antlers were sprouting. And I was just like, what can I make of this? Because on one hand, I need to go back and observe exactly what the antlers look like, because I believe they were demonic. But I wonder if there's a sharp difference between the regular stag's antlers and the demon Hannibal's antlers, or if there's even a sharp resemblance. I just have nothing but detail to pay attention to on repeat watches with this series.
Yeah.
Another thing that I loved was in episode 6, Chilton's suspicion of, they brought it up, I think it was Gideon. Chilton's suspicion of Lecter versus his ineptitude at screening his staff, which was a poke at him, letting a fucking psychopath into his ward in a position of power. I wrote Jack's doggy bag. Oh, the doggy bag when he was at the party. I thought that was so smart. When he wanted the items, he took them, and I loved. Again, it was the same look that like Hannibal gave when the feet are up on the desk, or I mean, he was just kind of like, well, we have stuff in the kitchen.
He's already the fact of him though, but just the fact he knew that he was making that choice was already like.
That's what the fact that after the fact we knew that he wasn't afraid he was going to get found out. He knew he was doing it for a reason, and he knew what that reason was. I just wrote, what is Alana doing? She said there's something liberating while she's in Hannibal's arms. She says there's something liberating about finally letting him go, talking about Will. And I was like, are you fucking kidding me? We were in episode 6. And you were supposed to be, I was so mad. I was like, you were my light.
Yeah. But I mean, look, I'm not accusing it, but I mean, enough was presented to her and he's now in fucking behind bars. So like, it isn't as just some whimsical thing where like Will's still at home and she's making these choices. It's interesting. I will say that this has happened. Yeah. I'd be very curious if there's any sort of interview with the costume designer that from that point forward, I remember how like season 1, I'm like, she always wears these cute dresses. And then the very first episode, for the first many episodes of the show, it's all shirts and blouses. Dresses are gone. The cute dresses are gone. Probably related, but then also I couldn't help but notice that I'm like, oh, but the show's in the winter now. So why the fuck would she be wearing like cute dresses?
Flimsy red dress.
Maybe I'm reading too much into it.
She's wearing like parkas and shit like that. But but just as I felt like I was, sorry, did you want to finish? Sorry.
Well, we're still speaking of clothes.
Yeah.
First of all, I was very, very attached to, not necessarily saying, ooh, he's so stylish, but I was attached to Will season 1 with his green jacket, his sort of patterned shirts, is a little rough, a little dirty, but it worked. But he cleaned, I know it's the winter time, but like Will has some really sharp winter clothes. Yeah. I'm like, yeah. Like, you were talking about Hugh Dancy before in season 1. I'm like, whatever. But like
in his boxers and t-shirt.
Yeah, like whatever. Shit. But I'm like, oh, Will's got some cool coats. All right, guy, I see you. But
well, he's just glad to be out of the jumpsuit.
What really stood out to me was the first time Hugh shows up to Hannibal's office and is like, I'd like to resume therapy with you. Every time we saw him in season 1 was like these rugged button-ups, like, I mean, casual attire. And now he starts showing up with like nice shirts, suit coats, buttoned up, like clean, like he's fucking like combed his hair. I mean, it's more than just like, oh, look, he cleans up. But I mean, the specific choices that he's making while being the lure to Hannibal. But I mean, the costume department really deserves a lot of props on the show. Season 1, I mostly gave them props because they put Hannibal in some dope-ass fucking suits.
And Alana in pretty dresses.
Yeah. Season 2, there's some real strong choices as to what is happening with the characters. And
well, because I mean, I
almost missed seeing Will the way I'm used to, but it really...
Oh, God, I did, yeah.
It really worked for what he was doing.
Well, also, it worked for what the show was doing as far as, like, it was like an extension of the show because thematically, with his clothes, you have to ask yourself, okay, is he drinking the Flavor Aid and, you know, starting to be eclipsed by Hannibal and, you know, begin, like, the one process, like, or is he completely conscious of everything he's doing and he's dressing more dapper to draw Hannibal's eye to him, to kind of send a message, not subliminal, because the people who specialize in clothing say there's nothing subliminal about it, but to send a clear message to Hannibal without speaking that I'm a mirror, you know, that I'm, yes, you're right to look for yourself in me. I'm right here. And so I appreciatied that.
And also in a weird way, if you take a hook and you take some thread, but then we're going to add a pretty feather, and we're going to really sparse this thing. And look at how fancy this is now. Like, if he is the lure.
Yeah. Nice.
Yes.
Nice analogy. Just as I felt I was losing Alana, I am so glad that we got Miriam. What the fuck? I wanted to call you so bad.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. I think about 2 episodes ahead of you for like the second half, but I got to that and I'm like, well, I'm not gonna text him anything.
No, right.
But when you, I think I was like on episode 8 and you were like on 5 or 6, and I'm like, oh shit. That was another one. I was laying down on my couch and I shot up and just went, what?
Yes.
And also,
I got goosebumps. I had goosebumps all over. Yeah.
I love Anna Klumsky so goddamn much, and the fact that they're like, well, we didn't just do the 1 episode, you idiot. We're smart enough to can't just come with that. And that was the other thing where, at that point, like in the beginning, I had wondered if Abigail was still alive, but then I forgot about it enough that even when Miriam's back, my brain didn't even think about Abigail because I was too focusing on Miriam. I was devastated when I listened to Hannibal talk and it didn't trigger anything.
Me too.
And I was furious. I mean, I was felt awful for her when Chilton's voice triggered her because she gave me all the things that make me feel feelings.
Yep.
I mean, the instant fucking terror in her fucking eyes. Like,
God.
Have the Emmys, please.
Yes,
I know this aired like 4 years ago, but I hope somebody gave her a high five or something. Jesus.
She deserves everything because I didn't doubt it for a second. My God.
No, but I was furious because I know that Hannibal created that for her.
Yeah.
And let's talk. I have a lot to come back to on this, but yeah, Miriam, go.
What other mirror? Okay. Another thing, performance-wise, that I absolutely fucking adored. I recognized it before I even started to elaborate on more reasons why it might exist there. But just because, first of all, I just loved it because it felt of the show. But the first time we, get her out of there, and she's talking to, I believe, Jack. I'm watching her mannerisms. And I feel like I'm watching Will season 1, like toward the end of season 1 when he's really unraveling. I mean, down to like the twitch. I mean, I was like, this is fucking brilliant. Who told you? Or was it your idea? Like there's something, this is not accidental. I don't think you two just go crazy the same way. Like I feel like it feels like a conscious choice because then when she's talking to Will, I feel like I'm watching another fucking mirror, and then I realize they've both been programmed by fucking Hannibal. So of course they're both like human beings who are naturally kind of drawn to this kind of work for whatever reason, and then are told to shut off pieces of themselves that are their sensory apparatus that is supposed to be built to perceive and examine and take apart and question and come up with thesis and antithesis to come up with synthesis. All of this felt so right. And whether it's intentional or not, I felt it, I got it, I don't care. It is brilliant, and I was so ready to marry this show. Just be like, you're my everything. I'm in love with you.
And then
please be. I'm in love with the show because I mean, again, up until this point, I felt like I got everything I asked for, but I'm also getting things I had absolutely no idea were going to occur, and the fact that I am shocked pretty much by the episode by episode. At this point, there wasn't one episode that didn't have something that had me throwing my arms out to the screen or screaming no or screeching what, in the middle of the night. It was all so dire and immediate, so much so that, again, I forgot that I was watching the past. I didn't feel shit, when are we going to get to that thing in the first episode? I was so grateful that we were at this point that we were still watching this show.
It sounds like you're experiencing all killer, no filler. Just, there's, I mean, I know I didn't have
Hashtag.
I didn't have as visceral a reaction to Michael Pitt as you did.
Yeah.
Not enough to derail the fact that I thought this season was phenomenal.
Yeah.
Juicy in season 1 gave me a lot of. I adored it. I was definitely worried, more so in the first half. This idea that like Will's getting his memory back. Will has clarity. I'm now worried that Will is going to get lost all over again on a path of vengeance now. And then about halfway through the season, I'm like, no, now I'm worried about Will getting lost in his own lies. I worried about Will a lot.
Yep.
Quick little
Poor Will.
One little bullet point I had.
Yeah.
I just had Jeremy Davies.
Oh yeah.
You know, there's a certain. There's no term like get me a Jeremy Davies type, but there's a certain kind of role that you're like, I think we're gonna need like a Jeremy Davies for this. And
my God,
there's so many little beats where I'm just like, can I just come in there and hug you a little bit? Like
I know.
Man. And then
Even
it didn't fit, and I'm glad it wasn't the case when he's the killer, and I'm like,
I know. I was really sad.
And then it's like, oh no, this is your vengeance to the killer. I'm like, okay, now I'll give you a little hug again, you little weirdo. But yeah, that was a great guest spot. Can I jump in on something? Dive in on
Please do. Okay. I'm gonna sound off on Jeremy Davies in a great way, but you keep going.
Oh no, it's unrelated. So do Jeremy Davies now.
Just the fact that I mean, I wrote A Woman and a Horse. Now I'm just sad. And then when I saw Jeremy Davies, like I think Dogville, I think Twister, of course, Spanking the Monkey, which I will never get out of my fucking brain, but but that's okay.
I like Spanking the Monkey. I also think of Going All the Way, which I feel like the world has forgotten about.
I don't think I've even seen it.
It's him, Rachel Weisz, Ben Affleck, Rose McGowan.
Oh, that sounds cool.
It came out like in '96.
Of course it did.
I mean, it was the '90s indie boom.
Yeah.
But he's a complicated dude in that movie.
But I just wrote when Peter comes back and all his cages are empty, I was already losing, like the bottom of my heart just started leaking. And I was like, don't do this to me, show. And then I kept writing exchanges. Oh, because I wrote Clark Ingram, played by Chris Diamantopoulos, the real crazy, who interestingly enough played Robin Williams in the Mork and Mindy story. Like when they were doing the Three's Company story and the Charlie's Angels story, they did a Mark and Mindy one. He played Robin Williams in that.
I mean, he played, was great, because I just want to wipe that fucking smirk off his face when he's.
I know, but he's also another huge like comedy actor, because he also did. Again, I didn't see it, but I mean, I know it took skill. He played Moe in the Three Stooges movie with Sean Hayes and Curly and Will Sasso. And he's done a ton of voiceover work. So I'm just kind of like, okay, like that's because I was like, I know your fucking face, fucker. I thought they were both great, but just like this exchange here, I think he deserves to die. When he's talking about like killing him, and Peter is, and he just says, "But you didn't deserve to kill him, Peter." And just watching Will feel for another character who feels too deeply, and the fact that he sewed him up inside the horse to teach him a lesson is maybe the most empathetic thing he could have done from where he was coming from, because like eye for an eye, if you're comfortable putting somebody in there, then you should be comfortable enough knowing how it feels. I mean, it's very schoolyard mentality, but I can't help but want him to feel like he lives in a world where things, I just want him to have faith in the world. When he had his little rat, I don't remember his name. The rat, I was just kind of like, please don't let anybody see the rat. Don't let anything happen to the rat. I don't want anything to happen to the animals. like I'm watching people, the Eviscera, and I'm wincing more than I ever did with this show. But please don't do anything to the animals. You will kill me. Even the reveal when fucking Michael Pitt's eating his face, I was terrified because I just hear dogs crying inside. And I was like, don't you fucking dare. And then they didn't. And I was like, oh, they're just eating his face. Good. Okay. I can take that because they're dogs. They eat shit. It's fine. But that was a character. Peter was a character who I'm just kind of like, I know we don't really need to revisit him again, but that's a hard role to play without just kind of like burdening an audience with a saccharine quality and with just a cliche. And the fact that it was as soulful and that I did feel as deeply for him as I did, that's why that's what I wanted to say about Jeremy Davies' performance, because it doesn't even feel like it was a performance. It felt like it was an act of humanity. And like I said, like, again, when you front load the season with this many performances that I am just like going over the deep end for, it doesn't help to set the stage for something that I didn't react to. If that would have happened earlier in the season and then it would have been backloaded, we might have had a much different discussion tonight. But who knows? It might have been exactly the same discussion. I might have had just as much of a of a problem. But it still got me by the end. But okay, so what did you want to say?
I don't want to say I forgot about the opening scene with Jack, but like,
yeah.
I knew we were going there at some point, but I forgot about the idea that when the impression I get from when Jack's entering the first time I watched it is that Jack knows what's going on. It's not just that Hannibal knows that Jack's there. So I knew at some point Jack and Will were going to be getting on board together.
Mm-hmm.
But we don't actually have that scene where like, well, here's our plan. So I'm not really thinking about that. So I believe it's episode 10 where Freddy has been, she goes to like Will's shack and she's calling and she calls Jack and he breaks the window. And my first thought was like, this is let me explain why I'm doing this, because I'm in with them. I have a plan with Hannibal. I didn't think he was in it with Jack yet. I just thought he had his agenda about how he's trying to get in with Hannibal.
Mm-hmm.
So my first thought was like, as much as my gut was like, oh well, no, Freddy. I'm like, no, the twist is gonna be, she's fine.
Yeah.
This is where she has to get pulled into the lie now.
Mm-hmm.
And then the next episode started. Because the second they show that security guard, again, when they do the thing that I'm like, oh, fuck, there's going to be Freddy in a wheelchair on fire coming down, isn't it? And then and I'm like, yay, we're doing the thing I know.
Yes.
And I'm like, oh, she's dead. Okay. And then I thought, no, I'm just taking you through my journey, and you can tell me if you had this journey or not. But my thought was, this show likes to kind of play with the story and the characters that we know. Mm-hmm. Would they be so obvious to do the exact same beat again? No.
Right.
That's not Freddy. That's not fucking Freddy.
Wow.
I don't buy you, show. And then the second that they've got like her body and they're doing the dental, and I'm like, we're committed. Like, we're going to put on a show for Hannibal. Like, Jack knows what's going on. We're going to do our autopsy performance or whatever. But this is now our commitment. We're in. And I'm like, all right. And then I had this morbid thought too, which was, not only was that not Freddy, but like, where the fuck do you get a body to pull this off? And I couldn't help thinking, literally the episode before, when Chilton gets shot through the face like this, my first thought was, holy shit. So they've got Chilton's body and he's dead, and he's on their property. So it's not like they just found some random person or pulled someone from the morgue. They've already got a guy that did they just put fucking Chilton's body in a wheelchair and light him on fire and then like fake the dental shit? Holy shit. Their height doesn't line up, but But I just had this wicked idea because, like I said before with slashers, like I said with Abigail, we don't see what fully happens after Chilton falls out of frame. We don't see fucking my girl again.
Anna Klumsky.
Anna Klumsky. So there's, again, I'm sure she'll show up in season 3, but the fact that we didn't see what happened to him, and I'm like, oh shit, did they just burn him up? Like, we've got the body, let's do the thing.
Okay, first of all, I didn't think anything you thought. Okay. I was totally this serious bitch because things have been different enough.
This was the first time where like my brain was like,
I'm the only way I'm not is because I have no faith in Hannibal changing or doing anything decent ever.
Well, I don't think necessarily
I know he's just going to disappoint me over and over again.
It was this episode that made me realize Will has already had this conversation with Jack. They're already a team. We're just not privy to that scene. But this is now a plan in motion. Ah, okay. So at the end, when Freddy's there, I'm like, well, fucking knew it. But I'm waiting to be like, oh, we burned fucking Chilton's body and we just made him shorter or something. But
the only reason I don't think about that, because that was mine. That was my moment where I was just kind of like, granted, we never had a funeral for Beverly or anything like that, but we never even had anybody really kind of like discuss, like we never had the exhumed body of Chilton.
They don't talk about Chilton at all.
Yeah. So what if he's like just in traction or not traction, but like what if he's just like, on a respirator or something and just like, he's got some damage and maybe he's really, really, really going to need that walking stick now or something. And maybe it'll just be like, they'll just pull a Dewey in season 3. Well, yeah, I'm like, because it made me wonder, is Chilton dead? Because I don't know how you survive that, but also I don't mind them because I enjoy that character and the way they wrote him, particularly right up to the end. That was my favorite Chilton that I got, that whole final episode that he had, to the point where he got shot and I was like, no, I just started enjoying you. Like, I mean, really, really enjoying Chilton, not just Raul Esparza playing Chilton.
Right,
and
because Raul is just kind of delicious in the part, like what he's fucking.
And he just got more delicious. But but the fact that that we never saw any of that made me wonder, like, okay, is he gonna turn up in season 3? That I wouldn't mind. I'd be fine with like a differently abled Chilton coming back after much physical therapy and stuff like that. I would be fine with that.
2 theories. One, my first thought, which I think is less likely, which is they fucking used him and burned him.
Right.
My second thought is, no, but he's still fucking alive. Mm-hmm. He got shot through here, and it seemed like the bullet came out the side of his neck.
Right,
like the blood was not dead center or higher. It was like here.
Yeah.
So the fact that they don't talk about him being dead at all, like the episode ends and he's never mentioned again, means he's fucking alive. Like, I see you, Hannibal. I know how you work. Like, Hannibal. No, but
I hope so.
Such a mainstay as a character of that institution in the later movies and books. I could see him just, being alive with a cane.
Yeah.
Season 1, my guts got taken out. Season 2, I got shot in the fucking face.
Right.
This poor fucking guy.
And then when Freddie came back, I did gasp. That was my moment. And I was so happy to see her. I was like, well, Alana's pissing me off, and you're actually kind of like making good on everything that you've been saying and doing. So like, I'm here for it. I'm here for you. I'm grateful. I'm grateful to this show. Please give me more. And then the only other thing about episode 9 I wanted to say before we move on, it was another stag thing. It was the imagery of the stag pulling at Hannibal's noose or whatever it was that he was hanging from and everything. And I was just kind of like, this is why. And it was the stag. It was this, not the Hannibals. It was the stag. And I just felt like, I don't think Will is daydreaming or dreaming or whatever, fantasizing about like a Hannibal hanging himself. It feels too wrapped up in vengeance. It feels too much about like a good righting a wrong, and something that I feel like Will would associate with justice. And if so, in this instance, I was like, the stag feels like pure Will, and it felt like him again later. But that's what I wanted to say about this. Oh, and Will said, I regret what I did in the stable. And I'm just like, I know exactly what you mean, Will. Because he's redefining the killing of Garrett Jacob Hobbs. Yeah. I love it that it's still, this is what I loved. Every time we go back to the original trauma, I am just like, oh, yes.
And that actor got to show up again.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, I wasn't happy, but.
No, but like, the character is important enough to Will in this whole story that, you know, he still got another job for a day.
Yeah. Oh, and I just wrote Peter. It was Kevin the rat. Peter's rat Kevin. And then Peter's line just about animals having friendship. They're friendships. They're just like us. And Will to his stag. I just started writing lines for the rest of the season. Will just to his stag at the end of it saying "kill," and I was like, I don't know how to feel about this. I don't like this. So I guess I know, but I'm not going, yeah, Will, I don't want to lose Will. I don't. I'm so on for this. And then I wrote, episode 10, I just wrote the blurred identity lines. Is the stag what binds them? Like, started out as like a piece of Will, but now it's like this, because there's this weird like metamorphosis happening, this like conglomerate Hannah Will, if you will, that is it. I don't know anymore. The more we went on from here, the less answers I had and the more questions I had, and the more I was craving commentaries. And that's me, episode 10. Do you have anything?
From that episode, no.
Okay.
I do have there's something that I'm happy they stuck with, because it's funny, because Freddie Lowndes burning in the chair, and I'm like, yeah, it's the thing I know, but you're probably tweaking it because you're not going to be as obvious to do the thing that we already know. However, I blatantly wanted them to do Mason Verger cutting off his face. I wanted the thing that I knew. And I feel like that is such a defining thing for him that you can't stray from that. And the show probably won't. And I was so happy when it did. And I love the depiction of it. But one of the things that I liked about it, and I alluded to this a little bit last time, but last time we talked, we were talking about fucking Scully.
Bedelia. The psychiatrist from
the swallowing of the tongue. And I remember I mentioned, and we know that, and I suggested that Hannibal got him to swallow his own tongue. And I remember you were like, oh, like you made a face.
Yeah.
And I don't mean physically. I mean like he convinced him to.
Yes.
And I always had that because I recall Mason Verger was drugged and convinced to eat his own face. So I knew that Will had the capability to do this, but that Hannibal has capability to do that to others. We hadn't seen that capability on the show yet. So when leading up to Mason, I'm like, not only glad that we're doing this, but I'm glad that we're showing this.
Yeah.
Because that will justify my feeling that Hannibal got that patient to swallow his own tongue and die. This is now setting a precedent for like how that's possible.
Sure. Things like it.
First of all, I wanted in season 1, I said I want to know more about that incident.
We both did, yes.
Yeah, and now we know that, like, well, it wasn't fucking attached to him when he swallowed it. Great.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, that whole Mason scene just to me makes me think of, again, what happened. I still want all the details of what happened.
I mean, I wonder if at this point we're going to get much more about that particular instance, because that felt like a major reveal, just a simple line. It wasn't attached at the time.
Right.
But
I was just happy that they kept it because it seems to inform so much about him, and I just love just the way he just says like, "You should cut the nose." Fucking I will cut the nose. Which my last thought is pretty much just the fucking finale, and
okay.
the thing that just solidified for me a little bit, because it's interesting when we're talking about the blurring and when they do that 2-shot for each of them when he's talking to Jack, he's talking to Hannibal, and like, will you do the thing when it comes time to do the thing?
Yep.
I remember almost gasping when Will sees the feds pulling up to his house, and he's like, beep, bop, boop, boop. Like, they know. And I'm like,
I know.
Fuck, dude, that's a choice. Like, that's, unless it's part of an even bigger step of entrapment, that felt like Will made an emotional choice.
Yeah.
Where, again, I was worried about him getting lost in vengeance and then getting lost in this trap. And I'm like, fuck. And the fact that when he gets to the house and actually says, like, you were supposed to leave, I'm like, God damn it, Will. Like, I get that this relationship is what the show is, but like, fuck, that really hurt that was the intent. That behind closed doors, when it's just like the two of them and like Abigail in a room, like that was your choice. It was just, it was like a gut punch.
Yep.
But what really killed me, okay, Abigail's alive, pushes Lana out a window, but that, like, if you talk about like a finale and delivering the goods, especially like on paper, not even acted, just like the plot beats on a chart going, well, this is what's going to happen in this episode. This was like cabin in the woods, third act, the elevator doors, the merman, like, let's deliver. Delivers gore, delivered emotionally. But what got me wasn't just the fact that Hannibal is hurt because he actually tried to like let you in, and like you threw away the fact that like I let you, but the fact that he's like, no, but like I had Abigail, like it was gonna be like a surprise, and it was gonna be like the three of us. And I just remember thinking like, I remember in season 1 I wanted this to be like my two dads, and it turned out like Hannibal this whole time has been like, no, it should be my two dads. Like, I have a fucking plan. It's
he had a family plan.
No, but I wrote down for that episode. No, I just wrote my two dads. And that it's so much fuck. And Jack is stabbing in the neck, and fucking Will is stabbing the gun, and that is just everywhere. But this episode ends, and guess what? Everybody you like is just laying on the ground, fucking bleeding out, dead.
I was so lost. But I do have some things. Just to backtrack a little bit.
I don't have anything juicy, but if you're in backtrack, I don't everything that you would feel. Yeah. I felt watching the finale. I don't have my nerves were just sort of raw for like 20, 30 minutes straight. That's all. Abigail, Alana. What? Jack, bleeding. Calling Bella. What? Just like everything. People, and so much blood is on the ground.
I know.
So much flowy flow of blood. Oh my God. Anyway, that's all I have.
Flowy flow?
Flowy flow.
Flowy flow.
Yeah.
I'll sound off on that. I just want to do this chronologically. And so in the name of time, I'll just try to read as much as possible. But just one thing about episode 10, because I literally did write, this is my least favorite episode. And it wasn't just because of Michael Pitt. I also wrote, because I don't want to sound like I'm just shitting on him, but like, again, it's not necessarily a criticism of the show. It's just the experience of watching it was unpleasant in a different way than I am accustomed to with this show, because that's where the dual sequence between Hannibal teaching Alana to play that instrument, and Will and Margot sharing their scars, etc., and then the merging and the everything, I just felt like it was gross. And I kept waiting for Hannibal.
I kept wanting to cut away from Hannibal.
Well, this is the thing. I kept waiting for Hannibal to see Will's face, because one thing that we got at the moment you're talking about, where we found out that Hannibal had this surprise for Will and that it was all about like this family, is granted it comes right before he cuts open his gut, but he reaches for his face and just cups it with his hand with a gentility that I'm just kind of like, I could have done with a whole lot more of this season. Not just because of the homoeroticness of it all. I mean, that doesn't hurt because they're two very attractive men touching each other. But there's something about it that I feel also kind of colors outside the lines of where stories like this might have gone 30 years ago, even 20 years ago, even 10 years before, I mean. So I kept waiting for him to see Will's face, but instead they were both kind of sharing Alana, which made her feel very much like an object because she didn't seem to have a point of view regarding, we weren't concerned with what was going on in her head or what she was perceiving. She was just kind of like this point that the two of them shared, which just, it felt incestuous to me in an odd way, just because, and by incestuous, I mean, the fact that Alana couldn't just find someone who wasn't out of this circle of her work relationships pissed me off to no end. I was just like, I understand Will's a lot. I get it. I just don't understand why Hannibal is such, well, given everything Will has said, if you're really on his side, why you're going there. What? That's one thing that this season didn't seem to bother with for me. It just kind of seemed like a mistake she made, and then when she realized she made the mistake, it was too late, and she realized it was too late, and I got my at least my Alana, who's perceiving and speaking to that part of Will who knows and who can see what's going on and who is warning Will, and in an odd way that comforted me. And I appreciated the parallel here because that comforted me at the end of season 1, and at the end of season 2, I thought, you're too late. You're too fucking late, Alana. So it was like her performing the same role, playing the same role, but it being even less effective this time around because it doesn't make any difference now. He's something larger than her and something larger than them. Will and Alana is going on now. And she even said later, do I have anything else for this? Okay, so that was episode 10. Okay. But she even said later, fuck. I fucking can't with Michael Pitt, blah, blah, blah. Like in episode 11, I was like, how can Alana kiss Hannibal now? She knows.
Can I tell you? Because I feel like,
yes,
I do see why.
Mm-hmm.
He brewed beer, her own beer. It's back in season 1.
I hate you.
Look, Eddie, if you're over in Hannibal's kitchen.
When you brew beer for a woman.
And if you are in Hannibal's kitchen, if I was in Hannibal's kitchen and he's in that neat suit, and I'm like, oh, I'm thirsty. And he's like, oh, I brewed a beer just for you. I'd be like, my pussy.
Because you're Hannibal. That's why.
No, I'm just fucking with you. That's not, but.
Yeah.
It's disappointing. I mean, realistically, and again, the show doesn't feel like it's set in reality, but I could see, my idea would be like, does she find someone who maybe works in her same field? So that when you come home, you don't have this other person and like the separate life, and you need to have like a life, right? But you got to find someone who's not this fucker and be this close. Yeah, it's a bad choice.
And that was something that I felt like I would have loved her to get a little bit more space. I understand her name isn't in the title, and she's not. She
gets third billing like every week.
I know she gets third billing. And given third billing,
maybe
I wish that a little more attention could have been paid to her perspective, because that was another thing about that sequence. It was the first time watching these episodes that felt a little male gazy to me. because she is just an object and she doesn't have a perspective. I would have loved if the three of them could have been this trinity of lost people who don't know what to make of each other.
I see what you mean, but I didn't see it as male gaze so much as I just noticed that this show, especially in the second half, starts to just become the Will and Hannibal dance, and it just focuses. So it has far less of the incidental murders, and even when they do, they have huge impacts on Will as a person.
That's why I would have preferred if she would have been just plucked out of the middle between the two of them. They don't even have to be making love or anything, but if they both have like this faceless, or the back of her head, like, and they're both just looking across and they see each other making love to her, I feel like that even is more effective than like a bird's eye view of her caught in the middle of them, because do you know what I mean?
Right.
I mean, it makes it feel like a little, then she's definitely not like a presence there. She's just kind of like something they're using to connect with each other. And it didn't feel like that when you, with that particular, there was just something about it that I found not even problematic, but it just bugged me. But another thing that bugged me in a great way, fucking alternative to laparoscopy, the way that fucking Mason made sure that she wasn't going to, I mean, come the fuck. I hate it. I mean, monster. I hated him. I already. But I was just like, yeah. Oh, you're just guys. Oh, so much death. So much. You have to die. You have to be. You can't. I don't. Just growling.
But he gets to be paralyzed with a bunch of his face missing for.
I don't care.
I know.
So I'm just going to read, because I have very few notes for episode 13. But here I just wrote, I'll just read you everything I wrote for episode 13. I'm so tired. And then I wrote, finally, the dinner. Then I just wrote, been fishing all season. Now we're hunting with Garrett Jacob Hobbs. Fuck that. I wrote down the quote that Bella had about saving Jack for her. I just wrote, everything is so sad. I wrote down brick by brick, memory palace. Because that was another thing. Blood tear. There's a little sequence where Alana cries and her tear falls and then there's blood in the water, and I'm just kind of like, this is an odd transition. Sacrificial lamb, the meal, and ideals, and Jack Crawford are the topics of conversation. And I was in it for the rest of the episode, so much so that all I wrote was all big letters, Abigail! And then this is what made me, this is really what broke me. In addition, oh God, I'm gonna fight crying again. Yeah, there you go. Abigail! You're 13, learning, you're getting Abigail. Yeah, but two more lines. And the second to last one is the one that stung me the most. It's even, I might cry saying it because in addition to everybody bleeding out and dying, Will looks across and the stag is dying.
Yeah.
That hurt. So I'm hurting thinking about it because this season kind of gave the stag back to Will for me. And him watching it, this thing that led him, this thing that kind of like granted him access to his gift for saving people, or for at least telling the truth about what happened to people, so that, no more people didn't have to suffer at the hands of psychotics and psychopaths. Watching everything he had lost prior to that, in that moment, like just watching the receiving of Abigail, only to watch her die as he's bleeding out, and just to reach for her and whoever did the makeup for it and the lighting, because it's desaturated enough, and he's a pale guy, Will Graham, and the fact that he's looking even paler, I can feel his skin turning colder even though he's sweating. It's that horrible death thing, and I haven't died, but I can identify it. and I'm but then he looks over and he just sees this majestic beast gasping for air and groaning, and it just felt so hopeless. And not hope, I mean, it's been bleak. It's been a bleak ride, this show has. But I don't know. I'm glad there's a season 3, because if this were it, I don't know. I don't know what I would do, because I need Hannibal incarcerated. I need somebody to put him away. I don't care who lives. I mean, I do, but somebody's going to find him. Somebody's going to put him away, and somebody's going to start consulting with him to find other psychopaths. And of course, he's going to break out again. You know what? This can't go on forever. This, you know, he's going to die like everybody else is going to die at some point, and that's become kind of the saving grace of his whole existence for me, is the fact that he's mortal and he can't live forever. Mm-hmm. It's come to that. And the last thing I wrote, which followed the little Marvel button, if you will, where they're on the plane, and I see fucking Bedelia, who I was so stoked when she was like in their camp. I think it's at the beginning of the same episode or the episode prior. And I'm just like, they got Bedelia. Yeah, we got the big gun, son. And then to see her sitting next to him and to see that she's even more far gone than I believed Will was, as far as the enmeshment and as far as the blurred line and the identity loss.
I should have seen it coming when they're talking about like who's the therapist and who's the patient, sort of thing.
Yeah, but I needed so badly to believe that somebody was going to come in and avenge, you know, all the wrongs. And I hoped in a way that season 3 was going to be some new version of Red Dragon meets Silence of the Lambs meets, you know, and who knows, maybe it still will be. I don't know. But I just wrote the last line I wrote after I saw that, because I think I screamed, or not, I didn't scream, but I inhaled what really loudly, just like, what? I just sat there in shock as it just kind of like Netflixed up like next episode, and I'm like, don't look, no spoilers. So I just sat there with my jaw dropped.
Such a ride, and then to give me like another gut punch.
Like truly, like not only is he getting away, but he's getting away with somebody else he's conditioned to become enmeshed with him and to follow his lead and believe. Oh, because she had a great line. I didn't put a little plus by it. Oh, it's right here though. Some psychiatrists are so hungry for insight that they may try to manufacture it. How deadly that can be for the patient who believes them. Mm-hmm. And then later she said, there were so many great lines towards the end of this. She said, what Hannibal does is not coercion, it is persuasion.
Yeah.
And for it to finish the way it does, and for her to say those things, makes me feel like you know exactly what you're in and you've just surrendered. Ew, you're like Darth Vader and he's like the Emperor Palpatine. Gross. And so all I wrote was at the end, now I'm pissed. That's the last thing I wrote.
Or she made her own choice to do the long con for a greater good. Or she's met with Jack and now this is like the plan B. And she has to be in for the long con. And then I wonder if he's going to see through it, and then she's going to end up like Will in a different way. Again, I didn't even think about that till right now, but these are just little things that you could do if you want to zig and then zag as far as TV goes.
Those should definitely go on Post-its and up on the board if you're in the writer's room for season 3. Absolutely. Yeah. I don't even want to speculate though, because
when you see her right away, I don't feel that.
No, I feel like she's been in this with him, with Hannibal for the whole time. Because even when they told her mid-season, I think somewhere in the middle, that she was hard to find, and she was like, "That's the point," or whatever. I was just kind of like, if I were you, I would have moved and then moved and then moved and then moved again, stayed where I was for maybe about 3 months, and then moved again. You know. kept changing my name, kept changing my hair color. I would have shaved my head. I would have changed my complete identity. I wouldn't like the same things. I wouldn't go to the opera if I liked the opera before. You know, I would just new identity, so nobody can ever think I was ever a psychiatrist or even adjacent. I'm now a blue-collar factory worker named Marge, and
she's like Bruce Banner in fucking, you know, working at the bottling factory.
Absolutely. But because she didn't do that, and because she was hard to find, like just hard enough, makes me think I don't have any faith in her either. That's the problem. I don't have faith in her. I don't have faith in him. Two of them are on that fucking plane, and that's a long ass game to play for a man who's stabbed in the neck.
Also, how much of it could be Hannibal's plan B?
Right.
I don't think he just reached out to her and made this happen right then. This could have been in the back pocket, break in case of emergency and he saw that things might be heading this way. I don't think she's just the FBI and he just happens to have this horrible night and then just calls her up and goes, let's get on a plane. Like,
no.
This was the back pocket, possibly. His plan.
I have a hard time believing that she didn't really try to break it off when they had that scene early in the season and he started to move towards her and she started to, back it up. That fucking freaked me out. God, so tense. And then, but then when she finally left and he just had the smell of her and everything, I have to wonder if there's some kind of unwritten scene that happened between him smelling her perfume and smiling and when she gets tracked down by the FBI. I wonder if there's going to be a story to tell there in season 3. That's as much as I want to. That's as much as I want to speculate about, though. But
I'm glad you mentioned that Hannibal has another person like Will.
Yeah.
Because I think they mentioned at some point this season, like he has this history of patients that become violent and murder. Like this has already happened like 2 or 3 other times. Sure, but it also feels like he's coerced a Will before, and now we have that. So I like that there's multiple patterns for different types in his life.
Yeah, that Abigail and Will, and even his psychiatrist. I mean, he's lived a long life.
What is Abigail's life like? This whole like that's just curious to me. What your lifestyle is.
I think it's just him brainwashing her, just keeping her tucked away, and just continuing to give her speeches the way he did in season 1, convincing her why she can't go out, why she has to wait
to earn it. Just in that sense that, you know, my first thought was that Miriam was down in that hole the whole time, and you find out no, she was moved there somewhat recently.
Yeah,
Miriam was somewhere else for a while, and I have to wonder, like, well, has Abigail just been chilling upstairs while they're all having dinners this whole time? Or,
I don't think so.
You know, anyway, there's just things to wonder about.
That's the only thing that I think, like, why she wasn't there. And that was, I mean, it's interesting. I thought it was really interesting that you brought that up, that Beverly could have seen her. It's a possibility, but the reason why I don't think is because, even though it could be cool, I feel like they would have written like a "you" or something like that.
No, but it's vague enough that, because that's already like 2 on point.
But no,
that tells me it's a person, and I think now it's more. That's no longer me wondering anymore. Now I'm wondering.
Just something, I don't know, I have to watch the performance again, but there was something about her performance that wasn't recognizing like a person so much as like a tableau, you know what I mean?
If they wanted me to think that, then they would have said you, but that's something they would have wanted. And
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
But she's close enough to the case to also like, to recognize, wait, Abigail, but also I would buy the shock is enough for her to not immediately just start talking to her, especially if her condition is weird or she's doing something strange at the time or she's part of a bigger thing where you're like,
yeah, they did a really great job. Also, I mean, we talk about how bleak they ended, but the thing is, everything leading up to it was bleak in a great way, to the point where I go back to Cynthia Nixon when she's taking away, when she's basically telling, I don't remember even exactly what she says, but she's stripping Jack of his authority and his ability to like kind of like continue working on this case and continue to be pursuing Hannibal in this vein because what they're doing is hugely illegal. I was glad that she was there and that she was giving it the weight that it needs. Because I was actually talking to my sister, dropping some groceries by yesterday, just after I finished this season. And I didn't give her any spoilers. I just told her how pissed off I was. And she kind of shrugged and threw her mask and 6 feet away just said like, yeah, I don't know if I'm going to watch that. And I'm like, I think it's funny because I always think the psychologist in her is going to appreciate the dynamics, you know, at play. And the thing is, nothing pisses her off more than watching TV psychiatric shit, because she's just kind of like, that's a violation, that can get you disbarred, that can get you, or not disbarred, I don't know if that's the word.
But a lot of people on this show know that when they're doing it. It's not,
of course.
Yeah, exactly.
But she doesn't enjoy watching it. She doesn't care whether they know about it or whether it's done for effect or whether, you know, like consciously, and whether there is a comeuppance somewhere down the road, because she's like, they always let it go on way too long. Like, this needs to be nipped in the bud. I don't want to watch.
This show lets a lot go on.
I know. I'm like, it's Hannibal. I mean, of course. I mean, and Hannibal starts off as like psychiatrist A, you know, like, So I'm like, okay, well then maybe the show's not for you, particularly in these stressful times. However, I mean, because also I know I get like a rush out of everything I just described, the dynamics. Like, I love watching episodes of shows where somebody's on a couch discussing their shit, whether it's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, or whether it's The Newsroom, or, you know, what have you, or even just like In Treatment off HBO. That every single fucking episode of that is like a therapy session, and I'm all about it. So like this, because that was another thing I didn't get to talk about with the enmeshment. Sorry, I'm just like, so excited. When Will and Hannibal are having one of their last talks in session, and you just see each one of their kind of almost POV. It's like an over-the-shoulder shot / POV, and Hannibal is kind of blocked off by Will's shadow, but Will is completely like eclipsed by Hannibal. You can barely see his face while he's talking. And I had to wonder just for a second, I see what you're doing. Do I like it? Yeah, I do. I really, I understand exactly what you're doing, and you've manifested it in so many ways. This is obviously one of the most memorable ones because I'm bringing it up without my notes. And I'm really fond of it. I was actually really, because it seemed like an inexpensive, non-CGI way to do it. We didn't have to go into a dream sequence, and I enjoy economical imagery in my TV and movies. So I think that's, so verdict is, I felt a little burned. I'm charred in a wheelchair. Like whoever the fuck it is, whether it's Chilton or whoever it is.
Or just some random, it's probably going to be some random body from the morgue.
Yeah, I'm a rando, all charred.
I think if I'm doing the show, Chilton's going to be back.
I hope so. Yeah, me too.
Chilton's going to have the job. Like, I want Chilton alive. I want him to be running the place.
Yeah, me too. Yeah. Because now he's going to be fucking interesting. I'm going to enjoy the shit out of anything they have coming out of his mouth. But I got charred. I got hurt. And I got what's worse, I got drained in some moments. But ultimately, I reached the finish line with this one, and even after I crossed it with the little plane thing, I knew, fuck, I'm in. I'm hooked. I want to know what happens. I really give a shit what happens. I'm so ready to see how they're going to close this off, and and also, I mean, whatever I criticize, like, it's hard. I recognize how fucking hard it is, especially after such a great season one. It's happened to TV show after TV show where, like, you get a season one of something, a small block, and it's like, oh my God, this is a sensation. And then it feels perfect. And even if you have notes, nothing kind of like, and then you get a season two and you're just like, well, it's not season one. Even though this one, my highs were fucking higher. My lows were definitely lower for many different reasons. Not just one reason, but for multitude of reasons. Sometimes it worked and sometimes it didn't. But I'm grateful for the ones that worked, because my God, did they ever. And I'm still chomping at the bit, dying to find out what the fuck are you going to do now? That's what I want to know. That's where I'm at. How about you?
I don't mean this as an insult to season 1, because I thought season 1 was great, but I just this one got its hooks into me more. What one delivers, it delivers excellently. So that I'm not saying I prefer what they're doing, but season 2 just got its hooks in me more, while still not compromising. Without going for the juicy story beats, they still maintained. If they had some sort of manifesto about tone and about what the text is and what the relationships are, they stuck to the manifesto, but still getting me feeling like juicier, like, ooh, like I was feeling more, I was reacting. I mean, in that way where I hesitate to be like Empire Strikes Back to Star Wars or Godfather 2 to Godfather 1, but like I really think
Okay.
season 2 just, and because it builds on relationships, and I see what you mean about Alana, but like there's a lot that like, I got pumped, I got scared, I felt more feelings, I was on the ride more, like season 2. And also, there was never like an episode where like, oh, you know, that was interesting because that guy got turned into a monkey or something. Like, no, it was just like, there's no fat to cut. My only complaint, if I have a real complaint, is I didn't like seeing Will's fucking dog running out into the woods.
Me neither.
Wounded by that monster.
I'm just glad it was alive. I was like, okay, you'll take care of him. He'll go to the vet.
Terrified it was going to die.
I was so mad. I was
pre-mad. When it came back wounded, I'm like, thank God. Like, this show can slit people's throats and turn people into honeycomb, but leave the fucking dog alone.
I don't even want to know what happened to all the animals in the cages. They got away. They're free.
Right, they're free.
I don't want to.
They're all fine. I'm with you on that. So yeah, that's my 2 thoughts. I mean, I can't wait till season 3. Much like how season 1 was like a thing, and I'm like, well, now I wonder how much of it's going to be Will in the cell and them coming in for help and Silence of the Lamb style, and how long is it going to be getting out. Now I'm just wondering, like, do you even do procedural stuff with other murder cases, or is this just is it Manhunt International? Like, does he come? Like, what is the show next season? Because I don't have any clue what it is. I will say though that I genuinely hope that I want to see Scott Thompson's twin brother show up.
He mentioned it again, didn't he? Yeah.
Exactly, yeah. He mentions it again. So I'm like, you fuckers, there needs to just be like, bring your brother to work day. And he's just like, something dumb, but I just need 2 Scotts.
Or if somebody just started addressing him by his character's name and he's just going to like, oh no, I'm Bernie, you know? He didn't tell you I had a twin. And then it'll walk Scott Thompson like, you didn't tell him that you had a twin? And I'll just be like, I told them, what's wrong with you? And they're like, oh, you're twins. You know, I mean, yeah, if there's like I'll take a bit. I will. Season 1, I wouldn't have, but after you swallowed an ear, like, there's room for laughs. And that is one thing I will say about season 2 that I actually really did enjoy was I feel like they both swung for the fences, but season 1 also, again, I think stuck closer to perhaps. I wonder if it's on first viewing, this is how I feel. I wonder if I'm going to feel this way as I repeat these seasons in the future. But first season seemed not to play it safe because it was not safe. But it seemed more consistent and more, that's just the word. Like all one glorious thing. And then I don't remember having a favorite episode. I loved Fromage because of what happened in it, but that doesn't mean I didn't love every other episode equally. With this one, I had highs, I had lows, but you were right. The highs were like swinging for the fences. They did take more chances. They did take me places I never expected we were going to go. I do appreciate that a great deal because you got to take chances, and sometimes it's going to work, sometimes it doesn't. And I respect ultimately season 2 for landing on its feet, because they did stick the landing. That's the thing. I didn't feel abandoned at the end of it. Not in the way that I was just like, I'm over this show. I felt abandoned in the way like, give me justice, writers. That's the way I want to feel abandoned.
Yeah. How do I, like you said, like the season 1 was consistent.
Yeah.
And I think that season 2 took a lot of big swings. But in general, in art, and especially in cinema, I really like big swings. Even when they fail, like I will relish watching a movie, even movies that I hate. And I'll give you, I don't generally want to go on the internet and just talk about things that I hate, but like Southland Tales, the follow-up to Donnie Darko.
Mm-hmm.
With
I haven't seen it. I've heard.
Rock, and I think Sean Willem Scott, a bunch of people, Justin Timberlake lip syncing to The Killers. It's awful, but it is such a whiff from like a massive swing that like you went out with an idea and you took a big fucking swing, and that is immensely more watchable than a pedestrian playing it safe sort of rom-com or whatever the fuck, you know what I mean? So, and this isn't doing that, this isn't failing, but what it does do is since I have such a fondness for big swings, the fact that season 2 took such big chances and took such bolder steps, I therefore respond more to it. And the fact that they connected so well was great too.
I think I have a good parallel myself for seasons 1 and 2. I don't know about 3. For Hannibal, and 2 movies that I have a similar feeling for. I adore the first Texas Chainsaw Massacre. I adore it, and it is consistent, and it's all kind of like of what it is. And then you watch part 2, and colors I didn't know were possible in this world, and predicaments I didn't know were possible in this world, and new, especially when it's new, like when not the canon, producer, like, infused stuff. We're like, no, we want the first movie. I mean, the stuff that is truly Tobe Hooper swinging for the fences, wanting to go for like an entire like funhouse, mad gore fest kind of thing like that. I mean, not that that's what season 2 is, but it is gorier, and it is it's not even more fantastical. It's just, and I don't even mean broader. I guess just the scope is broader. Like the possibilities are kind of endless. I literally, from episode to episode, was going, I don't know where things are going to go. I don't know what's going to happen. Anything could happen to anyone in this show, and it would feel plausible.
Yeah.
And so far, yeah. So that's my analogy.
That is a good analogy. Texas Chainsaw 2. I also tend to think of Gremlins 2 to Gremlins 1.
Hey, yeah.
Bogus Journey to Excellent Adventure.
Right.
And usually those are all Gremlins 2, Bogus Journey are sequels I consider better than the original. No offense to those. But yeah. Do you want to hear another song I sing to myself when it's time to watch Hannibal?
Yes!
Again, I'm doing them in descending order. I gave you the best one first.
Okay. I'm sure I won't feel the same way. Let's go.
But I always, and in my head, I like to imagine, like, Hannibal's, like, asking to kill someone. I want to kill more. You want to kill more? Hannibal, Hannibal, never before has a man killed for more. Hannibal, Hannibal. Won't murder anymore. He knows what's in store.
That's not less.
I personally think Marion, the librarian, just the fact that it fits Hannibal the Cannibal makes it it's just better. I don't know. But I just have this vision of like Lawrence Fishburne going, he wants to kill more.
And then everybody, the entire cast just breaking into the song. Oh God. I don't know if I hope there's never a musical Hannibal episode or that I want it like yesterday in season 3. We'll see. We'll see if not a full episode, but just like maybe like one moment. I mean, everybody does it, but
Right.
I don't think I'd mind it if this show did that.
I mean,
we'll see.
If you can give me Mason Verger's Psycho Funhouse, then you can do that. Especially because Don Mancini, I think it was in the Seed of Chucky commentary, maybe it was in the commentary or he did an interview, but he talked about like, fuck, I'd do a fucking Chucky musical next. And like, it'd just be funny I think if there was a Hannibal musical, we'd already know about the musical episode. Like I've never seen it, but I know there's a fucking musical episode. So I would know, but I think it'd be funny since we know Don Mancini, I think wrote 2 episodes next season. It'd be hilarious since he already has predilection to do a Chucky musical. Like, oh no, the Hannibal musical. Didn't you know? That's Don Mancini's episode.
That would be. I'm really anxious to see what he does.
Oh,
I'm just gonna be there. I'm just gonna be like watching again, like the way I watch Alex Vincent in the first Child's Play movie, where I'm just like, I feel like I'm watching a kid in a play. I'm just gonna be like, oh, I'm watching Donnie's script.
Oh,
I'm so proud of him.
Yeah.
But no, I'm really glad that we taped this now because after I watched the end of season 2, if we weren't recording a pod right after, where I don't want to have anything even spoiler adjacent in my head, because I know I have a face that you can read that can hide nothing. So I mean, if you start saying something that I know is already happening in season 3, I'd be like, you know.
Oh yeah.
So because I'm Eddie.
Yeah. And whereas I'm generally like.
Oh my God, it's not a comedy and tragedy mask. We're just kind of like, I don't know, emotion and resolve
and not.
Yeah. Resolve. I'd call you Resolve.
Oh, that's nice.
But yeah, but I was saying something. Oh, so yeah, but if we weren't recording the pod, I would have probably at least dove in on the first episode of season 3 just to get the ball rolling, because I don't like the not knowing. That's why I binge shit. I don't like waiting. That's why I wait, like when episodes like get released one by one on streaming platforms nowadays. I'm like, give me a few weeks so I can watch at least a block.
Depends on the show. Like I can do. I actually like The Mandalorian being dolloped once a week. It's great.
I haven't even started Mandalorian. Hey,
who you're fucking talking to? Like, come on.
Right. Well, I mean, of course, right.
But there are other shows where I'm like, fuck this week to week shit. That's Doom Patrol and Stargirl, like a bunch of shows. I'm like, I'm just gonna wait until they're available.
Right.
Because the torture of things. But with this as another one, I mentioned that last time that like
she finally made it on camera.
Yay!
Hey, Desi. Okay, say bye.
No, just the idea of waiting week to week for this, not just because of how so many episodes like Miriam. What?
Yes.
But also just the shows, again, that the language the show's operating on, the relationships are so dense. It lends itself. I'm not binging, but I'm watching like 1 and sometimes 2 a night. But waiting week to week, fuck that. For this show, fuck that.
I did 2 at a time every day until yesterday when I finished it off. But the only time I broke that, because there were 13 and I had a day off, so I did 3 in a row. And I think it was 9. Yeah, it was 9, 10, 11. And that was a hard day because most of those were Michael Pitt episodes. And
I did 3 in a row. I did 11, 12 in the finale.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would have been smarter, but I didn't have the time.
It's just the way the days worked out. But yeah. But I see what you mean, because when we recorded the last one, like when we were done, I'm like, bye. I went and watched the next episode.
I might do that.
Yeah.
I might do that because I don't have to work tomorrow, and I just want to know. I want to know so bad, and then I can just go 2 by 2, and be done very, very soon, and then we'll do that video.
Yeah.
Did you have a favorite this season? A favorite character? You can say no, because I didn't.
I don't, if I'm going to be honest, God, I forgot her first name, but Verger.
Margot.
Margot. This is going to be really shallow, but like, I just adore Catherine Isabel.
Yeah.
But also like, but not just, oh, I like her stuff, but like, again, everything she brought to that part, and also just the colors, like the colors they put on her, and just every fucking thing that she's giving, I just couldn't take my eyes off that performance. And the fact that she gets to be in this world, put her in fucking everything.
There are some things you can't teach people to do. And one thing you can't teach a person to do is to just draw the eye. And that's why I was so transfixed on her that I literally, the first 3 sessions, I already said it, had to go back and watch again, just because I was so, I was like, almost on a scientific level, or not a scientific, but just an examining level. I just was like, God, she's mesmerizing. And I'm not listening to a word she's saying, but she's captivating. Like whatever's going on inside of her, I can see this odd spontaneity mixed with a resolve, with tension, and it doesn't feel like she's building layers. It just feels like she did her preparation and now she's just letting it go, and she's working off gifted actors the entire almost the time. But even then she's amazing, and I'm just so I mean, as far as like, I mean, everybody was there were a lot of people I fucking loved and wish would have had more than one episode this season, but she was one who I was grateful to see every single time, and I would welcome her coming back in season 3 for any reason. And also just like, now I want to see what else has she done subsequently, and what has she got. I mean, nobody really has anything coming up now, but where is she? What's she doing? Because she's one I want to keep an eye on, definitely.
If you want a showcase, the 88 is like a star vehicle for her.
Nice. Okay.
I think it's called the 88. Pretty sure that's what it was called.
I can't help but wonder what would have been if she'd been the lead in Freddy vs. Jason. I thought she did a great job in her role, but
when the cops like, you guys all right? And she's like, what do you fucking think? And her hands are all fucking bloody.
Or I even thought about just like the spontaneity of like when she's like bending over, I think to get a candle or something, and one of the friends asks her like, "What do you see in him?" She's like, "I don't know, but he's got a nice ass," and he just walks away. And I'm just like, I know you. I've been friends with you. I saw you make mistakes at the very party that you're at right now. There were probably more people at mine, but as your gay friend, I had to sit there and go, "Are you sure about this?" She's like, "I don't know. Bye."
No, she's great. Great.
Yeah.
My only two things I want to see next season: Scott Thompson's twin brother. And I feel like, again, you didn't say her fucking name again after that. We need Miriam back. Like, she can't not be featured in an episode or two. Like,
she's another one who's too watchable. She's amazing.
Have you seen Veep?
I saw the pilot and I loved it. The problem was I think I saw it after a shift. Okay. And my mind's a little scrambled after a shift. It's very selective. It doesn't mean I can't watch drama or heavy stuff or verbose stuff, but there's something about Veep and the cadence of the wit that I really wanted to be present for. And I was like, I can't do this until I have like a vacation to binge this shit, because I really need to give it my full focus. I can't do dishes and just have Veep on because I'm going to miss shit. Yeah. So I knew this is probably one.
There's a lot of side eyes and just reactions and quick cuts to someone look. Yeah, it's
and it moves at such a clip that like I'm probably gonna binge it. Though I have the week off after my birthday this year, which is in like a month, and I might try and binge it then because I'll have plenty of free time.
That's gonna be a good time. I adore Veep.
Yeah,
and it's one of the few shows where they lost their showrunner and then someone else took over. It's probably maybe one of the only times where like the show didn't fall apart.
Oh, good. Great.
Yeah, but I only bring it up because first of all, not only is it a great ensemble and so many people are delivering amazing work, but she's great.
I could even feel it in the pilot. Even in the pilot, I was like,
oh my fucking God. Anna Klumsky gives me everything in Veep.
yeah.
If we watched Veep and then you were like, hey, who was your favorite character? I'd be like, well, there you go. Although there are some other characters that come on later in the show but yeah, Veep's great. Anyway, but Anna Klumsky's the shit. But anyway, I want her back at Scott Thompson. Have a twin.
Mm-hmm. Okay, we'll see. People who have already seen the series know whether we're going to get that or not. So, folks, no spoilers in the comments.
all 100 of you who watch this, don't comment anything in the comments.
Don't comment anything in the comments, guys.
All right, I'm gonna go.
All right, me too.
I'm gonna go watch the next episode.
Me too.
So
I'm gonna be in so much pain. Oh God.
Yeah, Eddie feels feelings, great, but Eddie also feels feelings when Michael Pitt's on screen. So like, for your sake, I hope Margot's back.
Don't even put it out because the universe.
There's no reason for him, like in my.
Don't curse me.
I'm just saying, if I'm in the writer's room, or if I'm a producer for season 3, there's no reason. He's not there. He's not there for a while. Like, to me, he just goes away.
Now?
I don't have him come back until you get to the Hannibal book. And like.
Now?
He's going to be in the
back. Now, if he comes back, it's going to be your fault.
Sorry.
And on that note.
All right. Bye.
Bye.